cultivation world, I begin by getting struck by lightning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1151. I'm a dead man. Two disgusting snot monsters were spread on the aura shield like a sticky nightmare, frantically corroding the inner city's defense formation. The creepy corrosion sound, like the low hum of a demon, corroded everyone's nerves. Seeing this, Su Fan raised the dark sword in his hand without hesitation, which exuded a strange aura. The sword seemed to swallow all the light, emitting a deep black light, and the killing intent was instantly filled. But just as he was about to swing the sword, reason was like a basin of cold water, extinguishing his impulsive flames. This sword with the power to destroy the world would not only turn the snot monster into dust, but also the precarious defense formation of the inner city would be destroyed. Thinking of this, Su Fan suddenly exerted force with his legs, and the huge demon body hundreds of feet high was like a sharp arrow breaking through the sky, and instantly soared into the sky. He drew a perfect arc in the air, and then fell from the sky like a meteor, aiming at one of the snot monsters. At the moment of contact, the great sword in his hand, with endless power, fiercely stabbed into the slimy body of the snot monster. With a terrifying acceleration of gravity, Su Fan successfully reached the ground, and the demon-breaking sword in his hand went down and split the body of this super snot monster into two. Not only that, the positive polar of evil and the power of thunder and lightning wrapped on the demon-breaking sword also poured into the body of the snot monster at once. Hiss, hiss, the shrill hissing sound cut through the sky, and the snot monster that was cut in half by a sword was like an ignited gunpowder barrel. The body rolled up instantly, struggling desperately to try to merge the split body into one. But the red positive polar of evil rose into the sky like the fire of hell, igniting blazing flames on the two pieces of the body, covering it in a sea of fire. At the same time, dense and dazzling arcs of electricity raged all over its body, making a creepy sizzling sound, as if to completely electrocute its body into ashes. This snot monster split in two was like two meat rolls twisting and rolling on a frying pan in pain. Su Fan walked over steadily, picked up the black sword wrapped with the positive pole and the thunder of heaven and earth, and inserted it into the body of the snot monster without hesitation. The snot monster had been tormented to death by the positive pole and the thunder of heaven and earth, and now clearly felt that his vitality was rapidly fading away like a flood. Su Fan keenly noticed that the vitality of this snot monster was declining sharply, and it was not until it was dying that he slowly pulled out the sword. Swoosh! Almost at the same time, Su Fan swung the demon-breaking sword in his hand with a thunderous force towards another snot monster in the distance. Puff! The great sword, with its powerful force, easily penetrated the body of the snot monster, like a hot knife cutting into butter. The super snot monster that looked like a puddle of mud also rolled up instantly, twisting and tumbling in the raging flames, and its vitality was devoured crazily by the demon-breaking sword. The originally huge body of the monster began to shrink rapidly, like a balloon that had been drained of air, and split into several small snot monsters. The strength of these two snot monsters is a world apart from the previous Willow Ghost. Xiaoning and others who were guarding the inner city of the Black Mountain base were relieved when they saw Su Fan kill two super snot monsters so easily. Their eyes were full of shock and admiration. No one expected that this notorious big devil would have such a strong strength. It was amazing that 4 super monsters died in such a short time. But Su Fan did not relax at all. He sensed more than 10 extremely powerful auras, rolling towards the Black Mountain base like a surging tide. The successive fierce battles have already pushed his body and spirit to the limit. If this continues, he will not be able to hold on for too long. After all, human power is limited. Then, the netherworld was like a wild beast that was completely enraged and began a crazy counterattack. The endless demon bodies were like a dark cloud covering the sky and the earth, launching a tidal attack on the inner city. They completely ignored casualties and continued to advance, as if they wanted to drown the whole world in this surging demon tide. Su Fan used corrupted bone poison mist and 9 nether yellow spring rain dozens of times in succession. For a time, the poisonous fog was everywhere, and the yellow spring rain poured down, causing great damage to the monsters in the netherworld. The shrill screams and painful struggles intertwined into a sad song of hell. But the monsters in the netherworld seemed to have been prepared. They quickly cracked Su Fan's magic and continued to rush up frantically. Not only that, In order to deal with Su Fan, they sent out dozens of super monsters one after another. Although the strength of these super monsters that were hastily merged together could not be compared with those Killbone monsters, Su Fan would have to consume a lot of mana, blood, and consciousness to completely kill them. Moreover, he had to pay attention to the safety of Xioning and others at all times and keep helping them. After less than an hour, Su Fan felt that he was almost exhausted, and his body was exhausted like a skin bag that had been drained. Boom! With a loud noise, Su Fan nimbly dodged a tentacle several feet long. At the place where he was just now, a deep gully was instantly drawn out, and the ground was as shocking as a torn wound. He kicked the ground with his right foot, and his figure was like a black lightning, and he pounced again. Su Fan held a tentacle several feet thick tightly with both hands. His muscles were tense and his veins were bulging. With a sudden force, he actually swung the super willow ghost up. Boom! Su Fan threw the nearly 1,000-foot-tall willow ghost to the ground with overwhelming force, making a deafening noise. Almost at the same time, his figure had rushed to the opponent like a ghost, and the black sword in his hand swept across with a sharp sword energy, instantly cutting the super willow ghost in half. The super willow ghost instantly split into several small monsters, and then fled in panic. At this time, a super bone-crushing demon over 1,000 feet tall, with a terrifying undestructive force, roared towards Su Fan. The roar was like rolling thunder, shaking people's eardrums. Instead of dodging, Su Fan rushed forward. Shang Shan KO, he rushed towards the bone crusher like an ancient giant bear. Boom boom, the two huge demon bodies collided fiercely, making a terrifying sound that shook the world. A visible sound wave spread out in all directions, carrying layers of violent air currents. The entire world within a radius of dozens of miles began to vibrate violently, as if the whole world was about to fall apart under this force. The nearly 1,000-foot-tall super bone crusher was immediately knocked back and flew up like a kite with a broken string. Su Fan did not give the opponent any chance to breathe. He kicked the ground with his right foot, and the huge demon body hundreds of feet tall chased after him like a shadow. Queen Niu Hammer, a phantom of an ancient demonized Queen Niu over 1,000 feet tall, rose into the air from behind him, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. Boom! Before the bone crusher landed on the ground, Su Fan crashed into it head-on. The demon's body of more than 1,000 feet was like a broken bag, and was pushed into the air again. Mojano throw, Su Fan chased after it in a few steps. His body was as flexible as a ghost. He cleverly caught the opponent's demon body and took advantage of the situation to do a big slap in Chinese wrestling in his previous life. Boom! He threw the bone crusher of more than 1,000 feet to the ground fiercely, smashing a big hole, and the ground sank instantly. Puff! Then, Su Fan picked up the black sword wrapped in the positive pole and thunder of heaven and earth in his hand, and with endless murderous intent, he fiercely inserted it into the demon body of the bone crusher. Hoo-la-la! After a while, this super bone crusher of more than 1,000 feet was like a weathered rock, turning into broken bones all over the ground. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo, Su Fan thrust his sword into the ground, leaned on it with both hands, and panted heavily. He was exhausted. Fortunately, he finally solved the last two super monsters. At this moment, he was already exhausted. In the end, he relied on his tenacious physical strength and the magical demon-breaking sword to defeat the two super monsters with difficulty. Su Fan turned his head and looked at the endless monsters, rushing towards the inner city from all directions like a tidal wave. He couldn't help feeling powerless. Although all the super monsters had been solved, the netherworld had obviously strengthened its offensive, and the situation became more serious. The original cannon fodder army had disappeared, and the ones rushing to the front were all kinds of force-downgraded 9th-level demons. Behind them were densely packed 7th-level and 8th-level demons, like a surging black wave, about to drown everything. Looking at so many forcibly downgraded 9th-level demons, Su Fan smiled bitterly and shook his head. He knew that the netherworld was going all in. They had already risked everything and sent all their reserves up, and it seemed that they were determined to take down the Black Mountain base. Su Fan's physical condition had reached its limit, and his mana, blood, and consciousness had been almost exhausted. He turned his head and glanced at the teleportation hall in the inner city. They had been fighting hard for nearly 5 days, but the teleportation formation had not yet recovered. If they continued to fight like this, the teleportation hall would not be able to be defended at all. At this time, Su Fan saw Xioning not far away, surrounded by several 9th-level demons who had been forcibly demoted. and the situation was precarious. Those demons were baring their fangs and claws, with greed flashing in their eyes, as if they were going to tear Xiaoning into pieces in the next second. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and his figure instantly disappeared from the spot. When his figure appeared again, he had already reached out and picked up Xiaoning, and gently placed her on his shoulder. Xiaoning tightly grasped the carapace on Su Fan's body, as if grasping the last straw, and then found a gap to drill into it, looking down at the battle situation in the inner city from above, with a heart full of worry and anxiety. Shuit, the dark sword wrapped in the anode, and the thunder of heaven and earth swept across the bodies of several monsters. Puff! Puff! With a dazzling flash of sword light, the first few monsters were cut in half in an instant. But behind them, more monsters roared and rushed up. All of them were forced to downgrade to the 9th level. Now Su Fan's mana, blood and consciousness have been exhausted. He can't even use a decent magical power now, let alone those big moves containing the artistic conception of the Great Way. Fortunately, Su Fan's physical strength is extremely abnormal, and he can still rely on the demon-breaking sword in his hand to fight these monsters in close combat. But at this time, there were only a few hundred disciples of the true demon sect guarding the transmission hall. Moreover, the defense formation of the transmission hall had been blown up long ago. Facing the overwhelming 8th level monsters, how could they withstand it? The monsters came like a tide, constantly attacking their defense line, and the situation was precarious. But Su Fan was also unable to do anything. He could only rely on his tenacious will and do his best to kill the swarming monsters, trying to win a glimmer of life for everyone. Seeing that the transmission hall was about to fall, Su Fan was anxious, but felt powerless, and his heart was full of helplessness and unwillingness. At this moment, the evil Buddha Wangda in the Juan's secret realm was sitting cross-legged in the lamp holder of the oil lamp magic weapon. Since the beginning of the war, he has been paying close attention to the battle outside. Seeing that the transmission hall was in danger, he could no longer sit still. "Yaksha, you are a dead man, hurry up and lead the yin creature army to kill," he roared anxiously, his voice full of anger and helplessness. After hearing what the evil Buddha Wangda said, Yaksha couldn't help but complain in his heart, "I was a dead man. Wang Lao, how can I act without authorization, without the master's decree? It's so late. If you don't go out to help that kid, when the transmission hall falls, we will all die," the evil Buddha Wangda roared anxiously. Hearing what the evil Buddha Wangda said, Yaksha gritted his teeth, and then took out a bell and a ghost flag from the ring. Ring, ring. He picked up the bell and shook it gently a few times. The crisp bell sound seemed to carry a mysterious power and instantly spread throughout the Juyin secret realm. Just then, there was a boom, and the entire Juyin secret realm was shaken, and an extremely cold breath instantly filled the air, as if the door to hell was opened. The temperature in the Juyin secret realm dropped sharply, as if it had suddenly entered the cold winter. Yaksha made up his mind and rushed out of the Juyin secret realm. Behind him were nearly 10,000 hideous tall zombies and densely packed skeleton supremas. These zombies and skeleton supremas exuded a chilling aura, as if they were demons from ancient times. The skeletons and zombies in Su Fan's Juyin secret realm were at least from the nascent soul realm and the god transformation realm, and even those from the refining void realm could be gathered together to 2,000 or 3,000. Moreover, since the evil Buddha Wangda moved into the Juyin secret realm, he has been teaching Yaksha how to refine zombies and skeletons, and the quality of various yin objects has long been different from the past. Even those evil spirits and ghost soldiers and ghost generals were forced by the evil Buddha Wangda to go back to the furnace and refine them again, becoming more fierce and brutal. Chapter 1152. This guy is now very powerful. At this time, Xiaoning, who was hiding on the shoulder of Su Fan's demon body, saw that the teleportation hall was about to be lost, and she was immediately anxious. She crawled out of the gap in the shell and was about to jump down, wanting to use her last bit of strength to protect the teleportation hall. But just as she posed, before she jumped down, she saw thick fog suddenly spread below, like a mysterious veil, covering her sight. Ring, ring, as the crisp bells rang, countless tall and ferocious zombies and skeleton supremas appeared out of thin air around the teleportation hall. They roared and rushed towards the endless monsters on the opposite side, as if they wanted to tear them into pieces. Although the zombies and skeletons in the Juyin secret realm are at the lowest level of the nascent soul realm, they are not strong enough to face the 8th level ghosts in the netherworld realm. But they were not afraid, and launched a suicidal charge against the densely packed monsters around the teleportation hall. Swoosh! At this time, a ghost smoke rushed out from Su Fan's portable secret realm, and then the figure of Sister Zhen appeared. "Yaksha, give me the ghost flag." Hearing her cry, Yaksha threw the small black flag over. Sister Zhen's eyes condensed, and her hands quickly made a few strange finger gestures, with skillful and mysterious movements. Boom! The small black flag, which was the size of a palm, suddenly grew in the wind and turned into a huge ghost flag that was dozens of feet high, emitting a strong ghost aura. As waves of dark and thick ghost smoke spread out, countless evil spirits swarmed out of the ghost flag, howling like ghosts and wolves, rushing towards the monsters in all directions, as if to drag these monsters into the endless dark abyss. Although Su Fan's Yinwu army was relatively weak, they suddenly appeared around the teleportation hall and caught the surging monsters off guard in an instant. This army of more than 10,000 Yinwu didn't know what fear was. They were fearless and rushed towards the monsters one after another. Although they were soon reduced to ashes in large numbers, their desperate charge actually temporarily stabilized the defense line and eased the originally precarious situation. Looking at countless yin objects swarming out of his own yin-gathering secret realm, Su Fan was confused. He never thought that these yin objects, which seemed weak in his eyes, would actually help him a lot at this most critical moment. Su Fan had long been accustomed to fighting alone. To be honest, he took in 2 ghost slaves, Sister Zhen and Yaksha, more to relieve boredom and help him do some odd jobs. In the eyes of other ghost monks, zombies, ghosts, skeletons and ghost slaves are cannon fodder consumables, not worth mentioning. But Su Fan is different. He never thought of asking them to help him fight, so even though the situation was precarious just now, he never thought of summoning his ghosts to fight. At this time, he felt a sudden breath of restlessness in his body, as if some mysterious power was about to awaken. Swoosh! At this time, a palm-sized bird rushed out from the secret realm, then soared into the sky, and in an instant it turned into a huge demon bird with a wingspan of more than 10 feet. Cry! Cry! The ghost crow screamed shrilly, and the sound was like a sharp arrow, piercing everyone's eardrums, and then it swooped down from the sky. In an instant, countless sharp black feathers fell like a torrential rain, and with a sharp whistle, the monsters within a radius of several miles on the ground were swept away. But before the ghost crow had time to rush back to the sky, a thick tentacle like a dead vine came over with a whistling wind. Bang! Although the ghost crow tried its best to dodge, it still couldn't avoid this fatal blow, and its huge body was instantly blown away. Seeing the ghost crow being blown away, Su Fan was shocked, and only breathed a sigh of relief when he sensed the breath of the ghost crow. Although the ghost crow was hit by the tentacles of the willow ghost, fortunately it was only seriously injured and was not in danger of death. Next, the ghost crow no longer dared to be reckless. It kept its stealth state and circled back and forth in the air, occasionally secretly performing a magical power. After all, the ghost crow is an air force. It overlooks the ground from the air and has a clear view of the defense line. Wherever there is a crisis, it will launch magical support in the air in time. Seeing that the ghost crow no longer dives recklessly, the inner city defense line is temporarily relieved. Su Fan also waved the demon-breaking sword in his hand and slaughtered endless monsters crazily. At this time, the air next to him suddenly rippled. Su Fan frowned and sensed the breath of hissing. Sure enough, the unyielding hissing also rushed out of the portable secret realm. At the same time, a wrinkle appeared in the air in a corner of the teleportation hall. Shoo-it! An invisible and intangible ripple emerged, and in a flash, a large number of monsters on the opposite side were cut in half. Zuxu is much smarter than the ghost crow. After performing a magical power, it immediately disappeared into the air and hid. Next, it brought the essence of guerrilla warfare to the extreme. It appeared and disappeared without a trace. Every time it appeared, it would use its magical power to fight and run away. With its extraordinary stealth ability and teleportation magical power, Zuxu attacked everywhere around the teleportation hall. As long as the defense line was in danger, it would appear there in time. Zhang, a sword chant that penetrated the sky and the earth suddenly resounded through the void, shaking the space with visible tremors. I saw a dazzling thunder and lightning rising from Su Fan's head, and suddenly a vast and sharp oppressive feeling spread across the battlefield. This lightning seemed to be born from nothingness, tearing through space and darkness in an instant, and descending from the sky with a mighty force. The thunder sword plunged into the densely packed monsters on the ground with dazzling lightning. The terrifying thunder sword light burst out with earth-shaking mighty power, sweeping over with overwhelming force, and the entire void was shaken with layers of ripples. The densely packed monsters that covered the sky were like fragile pieces of paper in front of this terrifying thunder sword light, and were instantly chopped into pieces. Wherever it passed, all the monsters were ruthlessly crushed, and instantly turned into bloody and fleshy fragments all over the sky, and disappeared. The thunder sword was so fierce that even Su Fan couldn't help but be amazed. This guy is now incredible. He admitted that he underestimated the thunder sword. The terrifying momentum it burst out now is not inferior even to those super monsters just now. It seems that he should summon the thunder sword from time to time in the future. This guy has great potential. Su Fan knew that since Ghost Crow and Zuxu had already joined the battlefield, the thunder sword would definitely not stay in one corner. This flying sword had been near the demon seed in his body for a long time, immersed in thunder and lightning every day, tempering and nourishing the sword body. Since the beginning of the war, the thunder sword has been restless and ready to move. Until Ghost Crow and Zuxu rushed out of the secret realm with lightning, the sword could no longer hold back. It didn't care whether Su Fan agreed or not, and with a whoosh, it rushed out of his body like a silver lightning. The thunder sword might have already developed a trace of ignorant intelligence, driven by instinct, and with a heart of protecting its master, it rushed out so eagerly. However, it might be bewitched by the mysterious power of the demon seed in Su Fan's body, so it rushed out of the body without any clue and plunged into the unknown battle. Chapter 1153. Even Su Fan has no hope. After Su Fan's Yin object army was put into the battlefield, it temporarily contained the offensive of the monsters in the netherworld. More than 10,000 high-level zombies and skeleton supremas, plus countless Yin souls and evil spirits. Although they were inferior to those monsters in strength, they were also a fresh force. These Yin objects were completely unconscious and fearless of death. They launched a crazy suicidal charge right away. Although the monsters in the netherworld were strong, they were caught off guard by the sudden Yin object army. In addition to Zuxu, Ghost Crow and Thunder Sword, they actually blocked the fierce offensive momentum of the netherworld. Zuxu appeared and disappeared like a ghost, and brought the essence of guerrilla warfare to the fullest. With the advantage of the air, Ghost Crow could hide in the air as long as it didn't dive to fight, and would use its magical power wherever there was a crisis. Thunder Sword was even more powerful. The sword was wrapped in thunder and lightning. Under Su Fan's control, it plunged into the group of monsters and slaughtered them wantonly. This also temporarily eased the crisis in the teleportation hall, and Xiaoning and the disciples of the true demon sect could finally take a breath. They had fought hard for a long time, and their magic power and consciousness had long been exhausted, and even their physical strength was almost gone. Seeing Su Fan's Yin Wu Core take over the defense line, they hurriedly swallowed handfuls of ki-boosting pills, and then collapsed on the ground to recover their physical strength. Xiaoning and the others could rest, but Su Fan did not dare to stop for a moment. He knew in his heart that these ghosts and spirits could not hold on for long. Boom! With a loud noise that shook the earth, a tentacle nearly a foot thick suddenly fell from the sky. A willow ghost on the opposite side used his magical powers to instantly blow up several high-level zombies guarding the teleportation hall, and the densely packed skeleton supremas behind were also beaten to pieces, and many ghosts were instantly shattered. This thick tentacle also hit the roof of the teleportation hall heavily. Fortunately, the teleportation hall was built with rare spiritual materials, and it suddenly burst into a dazzling spiritual light, barely withstanding the blow. However, cracks appeared on the outer wall of the teleportation hall, and it could collapse at any time. Seeing that the teleportation hall was about to collapse, Su Fan's eyes instantly turned red. Ouch! He roared to the sky, jumped up suddenly, and landed on the willow ghost with a bang, stomping it to pieces with one foot. Su Fan used his right foot as the axis, and swung the demon-breaking sword in his hand violently in a full circle. With him as the center, all the monsters within a radius of more than 100 feet were cut in half by his sword. But more monsters roared and rushed up. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and a dazzling lightning flashed across several miles, carrying a terrifying momentum, and instantly messed up the densely packed monsters in front of him. It must be said that the current Thunder Sword is really fierce. Perhaps it was because he had been suffocated in Su Fan's body for many years after he was born with a naive intelligence, and now he could finally vent the murderous aura that had been accumulated. At this time, Su Fan's eyes condensed, and he kicked the ground with his right foot. The huge demon body of hundreds of feet disappeared instantly. Boom! His demonite body appeared on the other side of the teleportation hall and slammed into Bone Crusher Demon. This Bone Crusher Demon took advantage of Su Fan being on the other side and rushed towards the teleportation hall with a roar. Fortunately, Su Fan's remaining consciousness discovered it in time and arrived in time. He was like a crazy beast, desperately colliding with a Bone Crusher Demon. Boom! The collision of the two huge demon bodies was like Mars hitting the Earth, causing a terrifying roar that almost overturned the entire sky. Although Su Fan was exhausted and could only fight with his abnormal body, he still knocked the Bone Crusher Demon back. But several more Bone Crusher Demons rushed over from the opposite side. As soon as Su Fan stabilized his body, he swept across with a fierce sword, smashing one of the Bone Crusher Demons into pieces. But it was too late to kill the other Bone Crusher Demons. Boom! Fortunately, at this time, a dense and sharp black feathers fell from the sky, instantly piercing several Bone Crusher Demons that rushed over, leaving bone fragments all over the ground. Although the Bone Crusher Demon can quickly reassemble after the collapse of the bone body, this prevented their collision and also bought time for Su Fan to attack. Su Fan swung the demon-breaking sword wrapped in thunder and lightning and anode ground evil, and swept it in an instant. Several Bone Crusher Demons that were rapidly reassembling, boom, red flames shot up into the sky, and dazzling thunder and lightning flashed wildly on them. Shoo! At this time, a wrinkle appeared in the air again, and an invisible and intangible breath swept across, and more monsters behind were cut into two pieces like leeks being cut. Zuxu used another magical power, and then he disappeared somewhere. At this time, the monsters in the netherworld had given up occupying the teleportation hall, and only wanted to completely destroy it. The following battles became more and more thrilling. Su Fan kept putting out fires everywhere, crushing the attacks of the monsters in the netherworld again and again. Even though his mana, consciousness, and blood were almost exhausted, and he could only rely on his strong body to fight countless monsters in close combat, there were too many monsters in the netherworld, and those who rushed in front were all forced to downgrade to the 9th level demons, and Su Fan had a hard time dealing with them. As for Xiaoning and the others, the hundreds of people who had survived by chance were now less than 100. Su Fan had already used up the 8th level and 9th level immortal talismans in his hand, and Xiaoning and the others had also used up all of them. At this point, even Su Fan had no hope. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, fearing that the teleportation hall of the Black Mountain base could not be defended. Bang! Su Fan violently knocked a Bone Crusher away, but just as he stabilized his body, he felt his eyes darken. He saw a dense mass of tentacles covering him. Su Fan couldn't dodge in time and was instantly entangled. He roared and exerted force with his arms. Bang! The tentacles wrapped around Su Fan's body were instantly broken. Su Fan swung the black sword in his hand and split the willow ghost that attacked him in half with one sword. Master, be careful. At this time, a fat round demon nearly 100 feet long roared and rushed towards him. Although Sister Zhen warned him in time, he was too late to dodge. Hiss! A cloud of ghost smoke rushed in front of him from a distance, and Sister Zhen let out a shrill hiss at the fat round demon. At the same time, a dark ghost face several meters in size blocked Su Fan. Boom! How could the ghost face used by Sister Zhen withstand the impact of the fat round demon? It was instantly blown up and collapsed, and even her ghost shadow was smashed apart. Although Sister Zhen was trying to stop a chariot with a mantis arm, she still slowed down the speed of the fat round demon and bought Su Fan a moment to adjust his body shape. Seeing Sister Zhen's ghost body shattered, Su Fan's eyes instantly turned red. He turned his demon body, bent his waist, and withstood the fierce impact of the fat round demon. Chapter 1154, Die or Die, I'll fight you. Boom! Su Fan was like being hit by an invisible giant mountain. His body retreated several steps uncontrollably. The ground under his feet was trampled into deep gullies before he could barely stabilize his body. And the fat round demon flew backwards like a kite with a broken string, smashing countless ruins and jagged rocks along the way. You damn it! Su Fan's eyes were bloodshot, almost dripping blood, and the anger of hatred burned fiercely in his chest. He stomped his right foot on the ground. In an instant, the earth cracked and dust flew. His huge demon body was like a black lightning, wrapped in endless thunder power, and in an instant it swept across a distance of 100 feet and rushed to the front of the fat round demon. Puff! On Su Fan's right hand, the red anode ground evil rolled like surging magma, and the deep purple thunder of heaven and earth entangled like a roaring dragon. The two merged and burst out with a breath of destruction. This right hand which contained endless power, was like a sharp blade piercing the void, fiercely piercing into the bloated and hard body of the fat round demon. Ouch! Su Fan raised his head and let out a roar that shook the sky. At this moment, he seemed to be possessed by a mysterious and violent power. The muscles of his limbs were tense like a dragon, and his veins were bulging. I don't know where the strength came from, but he actually lifted this fat round demon that was nearly 100 feet in size and as heavy as a mountain into the air. You fucking deserve to die. You fucking deserve to die, Su Fan roared wildly while throwing the fat round demon in his hand to the ground like throwing a meteor. Boom. Boom. Every impact caused the earth to tremble violently, as if the end of the world was coming, and the terrifying roar was endless. In just a few hits, the body of the fat round demon exploded under this violent attack. Disgusting green juice splashed like a fountain, and the pieces of meat flew everywhere, splashing all over Su Fan's body and face. Boom. With a dull and strange humming sound, Su Fan's huge demon body, which was originally hundreds of feet long and majestic, instantly dissipated like smoke blown away by a gust of wind, and restored his true human form. At this time, his physical strength was almost exhausted, and his legs were trembling slightly, as if he would fall down at any time, and he could no longer maintain that powerful demon form. Su Fan supported his shaky body and turned around with difficulty. He looked around the messy battlefield eagerly, his eyes full of anxiety and worry. Yaksha! Where the hell did you go? He shouted at the top of his lungs, with a hint of hoarseness and despair in his voice. Hearing Su Fan's shout, Yaksha rushed from a distance like a black stream of light, and instantly appeared in front of Su Fan. Master, you called me. Where's Sister Shen? How is she? Master, I've been commanding the Yin Object Corps to fight. I really don't know what happened here. Just then, a figure came from a distance at a high speed like a ghost. Li Chongxiu held a dark jade bottle emitting a faint light in her hand. I collected Sister Zhen's broken ghost body and sealed it in this ghost weapon, she panted and handed the jade bottle to Su Fan. Su Fan's tense nerves relaxed instantly, and he breathed a sigh of relief, as if relieved. You go to the Juan's secret realm immediately and hand Sister Zhen to Lao Wang. Li Chongxiu nodded solemnly, then his figure flashed and entered the Juan's secret realm with the dark bottle. At this time, Su Fan was like a candle in the wind, exhausted to the extreme. After recovering his true human body, he clearly felt that his strength had decreased sharply. Facing those 9th-level demons who were forced to downgrade, he was now unable to do anything. He waved his hand at Yaksha and said, You go. Yaksha knelt heavily in front of Su Fan with a thump, and kowtowed several times, each time with deep self-blame and guilt. Master, I am incompetent, and the Yin Corps has almost been wiped out. The more than 10,000 high-level zombies, skeleton supremas, and countless Yin souls in Su Fan's Juan's secret realm were all collected by him for many years. Now that they are all destroyed in one day, the pain in Yaksha's heart is like 1,000 arrows piercing his heart. Most of these Yin objects in the Juan's secret realm were refined by him personally, and he poured countless efforts into it. He didn't expect that in today's fierce battle, they would all be lost here. After hearing this, Su Fan kicked Yaksha and almost kicked the ghost of Yaksha to pieces. He pointed at the piles of monster corpses around him and roared, Are you stupid? As long as we defend the teleportation hall, all the corpses here will belong to us. Get out of here. After hearing this, Yaksha kowtowed to Su Fan again, and then turned into a cloud of ghost smoke and disappeared without a trace in an instant. At this time, several more bone crusher demons rushed over with their fangs and claws bared. Su Fan took a deep breath, and it was extremely difficult to take it in, as if he wanted to take all the thin spiritual energy around him into his body. He held the demon-breaking sword tightly, and the sword body trembled slightly. He didn't know whether it was the sword resonating or his hand was no longer able to hold it. Although his steps were weak, he still resolutely rushed towards the bone crusher demon and blocked the front of the teleportation hall. Su Fan knew clearly in his heart that with his current exhausted state, it would be difficult to block the impact of several bone crusher demons. But at this time, even if he knew he couldn't stop it, he had to go. Once the teleportation hall of the Black Mountain base was destroyed, he and Xiaoning and the others would surely die. In the blink of an eye, several bone crusher demons nearly 100 feet long rushed to the front with great momentum. Su Fan gritted his teeth, holding the pitch-black sword in his hand, ready to attack at any time. Let's die, I'll fight you. At this critical moment, Su Fan felt that his eyes suddenly went dark, and a huge demon bird with a wingspan of more than 10 feet fell from the sky like a shield covering the sky. Boom! The ghost crow swooped down, with an indomitable momentum, and hit the bone crusher demon in the lead. With a loud crash, the bone crusher demon nearly 100 feet long was smashed to pieces, and the hard bones were scattered all over the ground like snowflakes. After knocking over this bone crusher demon, the ghost crow was obviously also seriously injured. The huge demon body was swaying, tilting like a kite with a broken string, but it still stubbornly flew towards the sky, and every flap of its wings seemed extremely strenuous. At the same time, Su Fan saw a strange fluctuation in the air in front of him, and an invisible and immaterial ripple swept forward in a fan-shaped manner. In the blink of an eye, the two bone crusher demons seemed to be cut in half by a pair of invisible giant hands, and the huge bone body of nearly 100 feet collapsed and turned into bone debris all over the ground. Zhang! A sharp sword sound cut through the void, and the thunder sword arrived as promised with the power of thunder, flashing past the last two bone crusher demons. The two bone crusher demons were instantly chopped and exploded. Unlike the exhausted Su Fan, and the weak ghost crow and Zuxu, the thunder sword slaughtered the monsters for a long time, and it seemed that the murderous aura it had accumulated had not been vented. Because Su Fan's consciousness was almost exhausted, he could no longer control the thunder sword to attack. So a flash of lightning could be seen everywhere on the battlefield, running around recklessly in the dense group of monsters. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the thunder sword sensed that its master was in crisis, and its strong desire to protect its master made it rush over. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the thunder sword sensed that its master was in crisis, and its strong desire to protect its master made it change direction instantly, like a meteor with a long thunder tail, rushing towards Su Fan. Unlike their previous counterparts, after being attacked by the thunder sword, they turned into a pile of black broken bones. The bone body of the bone crusher demon is fragile, and turning into broken bones all over the ground is its self-protection mechanism. The scattered broken bones can quickly reassemble the bone body. However, they have no chance to reassemble after being invaded by the manic thunder power of the thunder sword. After beheading two bone crusher demons, the thunder sword rushed forward at an extremely fast speed, beheading the monsters in front of Su Fan one after another. After beheading the monsters in front of Su Fan, the thunder sword returned to him and floated in the air. The blade of the thunder sword trembled violently, making bursts of buzzing sounds, and blocked the weak Su Fan. Chapter 1155 I'm afraid there's no escape this time. Looking at the thunder sword floating above his head, Su Fan's face, which was covered with blood and dust, struggled to pull out a smile. Yes, I didn't love you in vain. His voice was as hoarse as sandpaper, and every word was filled with fatigue that could not be concealed. On this battlefield between life and death, the company of the thunder sword and its spiritual performance at this moment undoubtedly gave him great comfort. The thunder sword seemed to understand Su Fan's praise, and the sword body trembled violently, making a crisp buzzing sound. The buzzing sound seemed out of place on this battlefield full of blood and killing, and it was actually a bit cheerful, as if responding to Su Fan's long-term companionship and trust. Looking at the heartless and trembling appearance of the thunder sword, Su Fan felt a warm feeling in his heart. In this cold and cruel battle, this sword was like his most loyal partner. Even when his spiritual consciousness was almost exhausted and he could not control it, he could still fight bravely for him. Go ahead, and be sure to guard the teleportation hall and not let any monsters rush over. Hearing Su Fan's words, the thunder sword trembled a few more times, and then turned into dazzling electric light, drawing a beautiful arc in the air. Then, with an indomitable momentum, it left in a flash. Looking at the back of the thunder sword leaving happily, Su Fan sighed slightly, his eyes full of worry. With its ignorant intelligence, it didn't realize the danger of the situation at all, and it was still jumping around happily like a child, not knowing that a catastrophe was approaching step by step. Those monsters in the netherworld are endless like a surging tide, and once the teleportation hall is breached, all of them will be doomed. Ghost Crow risked his life to block a bone crusher for him, and Sister Zhen even tried to stop him without knowing her own strength, and her ghost body was smashed. Thinking back to these, Su Fan felt a pang of pain in his heart. Although he might die here this time, Su Fan felt that his death was worthy. With his rubbish qualifications, he had come this far, so what was there to be dissatisfied about? Not only did he marry 3 beautiful Taoist partners, he also had several good descendants. Nothing more to say, no regrets in this life. At this time, Xiaoning staggered over from a distance. At this moment, her image was in a state of embarrassment, her robe was torn and ripped in many places, and the cloth strips hung on her body like a piece of fallen leaves drifting in the wind. Her lips trembled slightly, her dry skin rolled up, and blood oozed out, but she was unaware. Her fair skin was covered with scars of varying depths, and the bright red blood flowed down the wounds and gathered into a small dark red stain at the hem of her skirt, which was shocking. Her chest rose and fell violently, and every breath was accompanied by a heavy gasp, as if she wanted to spit out all the fatigue and despair accumulated in her body. Xiaoning's eyes were empty and confused, staring straight at Su Fan. "We can't hold on, right?" Her voice was trembling, with a hint of crying, and she seemed particularly helpless in the noisy background of the battlefield. Su Fan smiled bitterly and nodded, saying, "I'm afraid we won't be able to wait until the teleportation array is restored." He knew in his heart that with the current situation, the possibility of the teleportation array being restored was very small, and their lives were about to come to an end. Xiaoning's face turned pale as paper, full of fatigue and despair. The original agility and determination in her eyes had long disappeared, leaving only endless grayness. Xiaoning took a few steps forward and hugged Su Fan fiercely. "I haven't even had a Taoist partner, Xiaoning said with tears streaming down her face, and then she choked and couldn't say anything more. She has now completely given up hope. In her eyes, Su Fan is extremely powerful, so she just wants to find a strong shoulder to lean on before she dies. Although Xiaoning is usually heroic and generous, she is also a woman after all, and she always needs to find someone to talk to before she dies. Su Fan certainly understood the girl's thoughts, so he let her hug him, and he opened his arms to embrace the girl. "If we can survive this time, you will be my Taoist partner." "No, I'm afraid that my Taoist partners will not agree." Xiaoning burst into laughter, and after hearing Su Fan's words, she was so angry that she hit him lightly. "Then we can have a secret relationship." "Didn't you say that it's exciting to be in secret?" Xiaoning blinked, and a sly look flashed in her eyes. Then she didn't care about it anymore, and started to say all kinds of lewd words to Su Fan. If a woman acts like a hooligan, there is no place for a man. Especially a girl like Xiaoning who is usually well behaved. Once she starts talking nonsense, most people really can't stand it. But it's already this time, let this silly woman say whatever she wants. At this time, the endless monsters in the netherworld roared and rushed up from all directions, covering the sky and the earth, and there was no end in sight. The air was filled with a strong stench, which was the breath emitted by the monsters, mixed with the smoke and blood on the battlefield, making people sick. The earth trembled violently under the trampling of the monsters, as if it could not bear the weight and could collapse at any time. Su Fan and Xiaoning hugged each other like this. They didn't even have the thought of resisting. They were exhausted physically and mentally. In front of the monsters that were surging like a tide, they felt deeply powerless. "Let's self-destruct together later," Xiaoning said in a low voice in Su Fan's arms, with a resolute tone. After listening to the girl's words, Su Fan nodded, and a trace of sadness came to his heart. The figures of his senior sister, Gu Kenghuan, Li Maiaxu, and his children flashed through his mind. Although he died a worthy death today, the only regret was that he didn't see his family again before he died. "I really miss you." At this time, a ghost smoke rushed over from a distance and then turned into the appearance of a yaksha. Seeing Su Fan and Xiaoning hugging each other, he quickly retreated behind him and lowered his head with a sad face. Su Fan knew that his Yinwu army had been wiped out. He and Su Fan signed a harsh symbiotic contract. As long as Su Fan died, he would have to die with him. Yaksha was full of despair. Looking at the monsters like mountains and seas around him, he knew that he was doomed this time. At this time, there was a slight fluctuation in the air, and Zuxu came to his side. This guy should have realized something. Fortunately, Zuxu signed an equal contract with him. With this guy's stealth ability, even if the Black Mountain base fell, he would probably be able to escape. Ghost Crow is also okay. After all, it is a flying monster and is good at stealth, so it is likely to escape. Benli's sword is finished, and the ending may be tragic. If it had not been born with consciousness, it would be fine, but with its current ignorant consciousness, it will definitely not escape the ending of self-explosion in the end. Su Fan couldn't help but feel sorry for Benli's sword in his heart. At this time, endless monsters were roaring and rushing up from all directions, getting closer and closer. Their hideous faces and eyes flashing with murderous light were clearly visible. Su Fan hugged Xiao Ning tightly and said, "Let's self-destruct. You go first, or I go first." His voice was calm and firm. At this moment, death might be a kind of relief for them. "Let's do it together." Xiao Ning hugged Su Fan tightly back, closed her eyes, and prepared to welcome the last moment. Just when the two of them were ready to self-destruct, Shen Yu and Xiao Quan suddenly rushed out of the teleportation hall next to them. The teleportation formation has been restored. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, a dazzling light suddenly appeared in the teleportation hall. The light illuminated the entire battlefield, and the eyes of the people who were originally in darkness and despair were bright. Swoosh! I saw a brown bear about 10 feet long rushed out of the teleportation hall. Its naive appearance stunned Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others. "Isn't the teleportation formation restored? You show me this." Everyone was confused and speechless. At this critical moment of life and death, a brown bear appeared after the teleportation array was restored. Awoo! Before they could react, the cute brown bear suddenly roared to the sky. The brown bear, which was originally several feet tall, suddenly began to grow in size, and it did not stop until it grew to more than 1,000 feet. Its body was as majestic as a mountain, and every inch of its muscles was full of strength. The air around it was distorted by its existence. An overwhelming fierce aura instantly spread across the battlefield, and an extremely crazy intention instantly filled everyone's mind. What the hell? Su Fan widened his eyes, his face full of shock. He never thought that the support sent by Man Gu Yan would actually be a 9th-level monster. Chapter 1156 Supreme Glory. Awoo! A roar that broke the sky, as if it came from the 9th netherworld, came from the mouth of this huge brown bear that was more than 1,000 feet tall. Its sound waves rolled, carrying endless majesty and oppression, instantly tearing the sky apart and changing the color of the wind and clouds. Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others, shrouded in the terrifying aura emanating from the 9th-level monster, could not help but tremble violently. The fear deep in their hearts surged like a turbulent undercurrent, and their souls trembled. The huge monster body slowly turned, and the 9th-level monster's eyes like copper bells looked at Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others, and nodded slightly. Then, it raised its right fist and smashed it heavily on its thick chest. The dull sound was like the roar of a war drum, as if conveying friendly greetings to everyone. Then, it exerted force with its legs, and its body soared into the sky like a meteor. After drawing a terrifying arc in the air, it swung its heavy bear paw like a mountain, and with overwhelming force, it slammed it hard on the ground. Boom! In an instant, a loud noise that could destroy the world erupted, like the chaotic shock when the world was first created, and like the terrifying impact when the stars collapsed. A terrifying sound wave that was clearly visible to the naked eye, like a raging sea, rushed forward in a fan shape with the force of thunder. Wherever it passed, the space was twisted and cracked like a broken mirror, and the air was compressed to the extreme in an instant and then suddenly exploded, emitting a sharp whistle. After all, it was a 9th-level demon. With just this terrifying blow, nearly half of the monsters gathered around the Black Mountain base disappeared in the blink of an eye, leaving only a piece of ruins and a lingering bloody smell. Afterwards, this 9th-ranked demon, who was full of murderous intent, seemed to have entered a frenzy and launched a frantic attack. Its figure moved freely between heaven and earth. Every time it waved its bear paw, it could bring about a bloody storm, and wherever it went, the monsters were wiped out. However, in just a short moment, there was no living monster within a radius of hundreds of miles around the Black Mountain base. Although the monsters in the netherworld seemed endless, like a surging black tide, they were all killed by this 9th-ranked demon. Boom! At this moment, another black shadow shot out from the teleportation hall like lightning, breaking through the clouds in an instant. When it fell back to the ground, it had already transformed into a huge demon body more than 1,000 feet tall. In an instant, a vast and boundless sense of terrifying oppression with a sharp edge spread out, just like an ancient demon god who had been sleeping for eternity, descending from the sky to the earth. The whole world seemed unable to withstand this powerful force and fell into a weird state of upside down and shaking. The sun and the moon lost their luster, and the mountains and rivers shook. This 9th-ranked demon clan leader slowly turned his huge demon body, glanced at Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others, and nodded slightly. Then he raised his thick arms, swung his fist and hit his chest heavily, making a low and powerful muffled sound, as if to express respect to everyone. Even as a 9th-ranked demon, when he saw the extremely tragic battlefield around the Black Mountain base, he couldn't help but be slightly moved. The Black Mountain base gathered hundreds of thousands of monks, but now after this tragic battle, there are less than 100 people left. On the battlefield, corpses piled up like mountains, blood gathered into rivers, and the pungent smell of blood filled the air. The battle was so tragic that people couldn't bear to watch it. Then, an extremely bright and terrifying sword light, like a meteor chasing the moon, whoosh, whizzed out from the teleportation hall. Everyone looked up and saw a tall figure standing steadily on the flying sword with his hands behind his back, floating above the Black Mountain base. The sword master of the fusion realm had a look of lightning. After looking around, he slowly turned around and bowed to Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others. From the moment the sword master appeared, the thunder sword that had been trembling all the time, hid behind Su Fan, as timid as anything. The sword master's eyes suddenly condensed, raised his hand and sucked gently, and a strong suction force instantly sucked the thunder sword hiding behind Su Fan into his hand. He pinched the sword finger and quickly tapped on the thunder sword, and several mysterious rune lights flashed on the sword. Then, the corner of the sword master's mouth slightly raised, revealing a faint smile, and instantly turned into a dazzling arc of light, disappearing into the air, leaving only a long afterimage, and quickly fled into the distance. At this time, the thunder sword flew back to Su Fan like a drunk, and sank into his body. Everyone knew that the thunder sword must have benefited a lot from the guidance of the sword master. Next, the masters of the Mangutian in the fusion realm rushed out of the teleportation hall, one after another like a surging tide. Each of them bowed and saluted when passing by Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others, with admiration and respect in their eyes. Seeing this, Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others were so excited that they could not control themselves, and their backs could not help but straighten up, as if their spines were carrying supreme glory. It is extremely rare in the long history of the entire cultivation world to be respected by so many masters in the fusion realm. However, Su Fan, Xiao Ning and others did not show too much flattery, because they knew in their hearts that Mangutian had never successfully defended the space gap in previous catastrophes. But today, they relied on their indomitable will and the sacrifice of countless people to complete this seemingly impossible feat. Of course, in order to defend the teleportation hall of the Black Mountain base, they paid an extremely heavy price. Hundreds of thousands of Mangutian monks shed their blood on the battlefield. Mangutian teleported more than 1,000 fusion realm masters in one breath. They did not stay in the Black Mountain base for too long, but rushed towards the direction of the space gap at lightning speed. Moreover, more fusion realm masters will continue to come to the Black Mountain base through the teleportation array. This catastrophe has come, and the netherworld has opened up 3 space gaps, which made many top-level masters of Mangutian worried and unable to sleep or eat. They even had to send a signal for help to the entire Yuan Moji. However, what everyone did not expect was that the space gap at the Black Mountain base was successfully defended. At the beginning of the war, even the most optimistic people never dared to imagine that such a miracle would happen. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Now, the hole in the Black Mountain base has been blocked. This news made Mangutian and even all the top bosses in the entire Yuan Moji breathe a sigh of relief. After the space gap in the Black Mountain base is sealed, the masters of the fusion realm and countless cultivators gathered here will immediately rush to the remaining 2 space gaps for reinforcement. This will undoubtedly greatly alleviate the huge pressure faced by Mangutian. It is no exaggeration to say that it is enough to change the direction of the entire battle. After all the masters of the fusion realm left the Black Mountain base, Su Fan's tense nerves finally relaxed completely. He dragged his tired body that seemed to have been drained of all his strength, found a quiet corner in the inner city, and slowly sat down cross-legged. Su Fan's fatigue at this time was something he had never experienced since he crossed over to this world of cultivation. He felt that he had been completely hollowed out by this cruel war. The whole person seemed to be a sponge that had been squeezed dry, without a trace of strength. Chapter 1157 Fortunately I met you. Su Fan sat cross-legged, raised his hand to call Yaksha to him, and then pointed outside the base. Hasn't the Yin Core been wiped out? Go and collect all the monsters inside and outside the city. Remember, we only collect those 9th level demons that have been forcibly downgraded. The lowest must be 8th level. Don't worry about those low-level cannon fodder. We are not collecting junk. Yaksha had been looking forward to his master's words. Upon hearing this, he immediately bowed deeply to his master, his eyes flashing with excitement, and then ran out of the city excitedly. At this time, The ghost crow turned into a palm-sized bird, flapping its wings and flying to Su Fan's shoulder, chirping non-stop, with a voice full of grievances. This guy was seriously injured in order to block a bone-crusher demon for his master, but because of the huge gap in strength, he came to complain to his master. Su Fan smiled gently, reached out and gently touched its head, comforted it softly, and coaxed it patiently. The ghost crow gradually calmed down and curled up on Su Fan's shoulder. Su Fan turned his head and looked to the side, only to see a slight ripple in the air. "You are not bad, you helped me a lot." After hearing Su Fan's words, Zuxo instantly showed its true body from the air. It was a huge phantom more than 10 feet tall, jumping on the spot, very excited. This guy is also very brave. Even when the battle was the most intense, it was never seen that it was afraid at all. Thinking of this, Su Fan sent a thought to the evil Buddha Wangda. "Old Wang, how is Sister Zhen?" Soon, the response of the evil Buddha Wangda came to his mind. "Fortunately, she met me, otherwise this girl would be gone. Now her ghost body is saved, but she will have to sleep for a year or so, and her foundation is damaged. I am afraid that she will not be able to continue her ghost path in the future." Hearing this, Su Fan's heart, which had been hanging, finally fell to the ground. What he was most worried about was Sister Zhen. This silly girl didn't even care about her own life to protect him. This friendship made Su Fan feel touched and guilty. As for Sister Zhen's path to the ghost path being cut off, Su Fan didn't take it seriously at all. Her aptitude was already rubbish, and she had been slacking off in her cultivation. Even if her foundation in the ghost path was not broken, she couldn't go any further. Anyway, Su Fan was going to let Sister Zhen follow the incense path in the future. Although the upper limit of that path was not high, the lower limit was low, which was quite suitable for her. If he supported her well, she would definitely be able to break through to the spirit transformation realm in the future. Su Fan took out an exquisite jade bottle from the ring, poured it gently, and several pills emitting soft light fell into his hand. He was about to put the pill into his mouth, but after hesitating for a moment, he shook his head, put the pill back into the jade bottle, and put it back into the ring. After a few days, he had already lost count of how many top-grade pills he had swallowed to replenish his mana, blood, and consciousness. Su Fan smiled bitterly and shook his head, leaning back against the wall. After a while, he fell into deep sleep in extreme exhaustion. Although the ghost crow was seriously injured, it stayed quietly beside its master with Zuxu when it saw that the master was asleep. After a while, Xiaoning slowly walked over from a distance. Seeing that Su Fan had fallen asleep, she quietly left. Xiaoning and the surviving disciples of the true demon god sect were also exhausted. But unlike Su Fan, they couldn't fall asleep at all. Since the transmission hall was restored, they were as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Being able to survive such a tragic battle, for them, the future path of cultivation will surely be bright, and their status in the mountain gate will surely rise sharply. Moreover, creating such a shocking feat is enough for them to brag about for the rest of their lives. It can be said that with such a dazzling record, their respective families will benefit endlessly for generations. Even for those without family background, the major families of the true demon god sect would certainly rush to marry their daughters to them. This war not only changed their personal destiny, but also brought supreme glory and opportunities to their families. Xiaoning came to the outside of the teleportation hall and raised her hand to call a junior brother inside the sect. Xiaotong, come here. Hearing the call of the senior sister, a disciple of the true demon god sect in the refining void realm hurriedly trotted to her side. This person was the direct descendant of the fourth branch of Xiaoning's family, an absolute confidant. Third sister, what do you want? Xiaoning raised her head and glanced at the top of the teleportation hall. Are those magic tools for recording images that we arranged before still there? I checked them just now. Except for a few that were damaged, most of the rest are intact. Others haven't seen the images inside. Third sister, everyone is so tired, how can they have the mind to watch that? After hearing this, Xiaoning looked around and then leaned close to Xiaotong's ear. Go over right now and delete all the footage of that guy's blood sacrifice. Don't let anyone know. Xiaotong was stunned at first, but then he understood what his sister meant. Third sister, don't worry, I will definitely do it for you. After saying that, Xiaotong turned around and left quickly. Xiaoning looked at his brother's back and breathed a sigh of relief. The scene of Su Fan's blood sacrifice was too evil. It was definitely the method of an evil cultivator. The footage in the recording instruments will be broadcast in Mangudon and even the entire Yuanmoji in the future. If people see the footage of Su Fan's blood sacrifice, this guy will not be able to clear his name even if he wants to. The surviving fellow disciples will definitely not talk nonsense. Everyone knows that if it weren't for this guy, the Black Mountain base would have fallen long ago. It can be said that the Black Mountain base was defended by him alone, and Xiaoning and others were purely relying on him. This is not to mention the several starry sky gates of the netherworld that Su Fan destroyed alone. This time when he returns to the mountain gate, the true demon god sect will definitely find ways to help him clear his name. With Su Fan's terrifying record at the Black Mountain base, no one else will be able to top the Demon Slayer list this time. In order to top the Demon Slayer list, the true demon god sect must also win over Su Fan and will never let him have any black spots. As for the grudge between Su Fan and the Celestials, it is even less of a thing. This is the Mangudon controlled by the demon sect, and the demon sect monks don't care about those conceited Celestials. If they dare to cause trouble for Su Fan here, they are courting death. Boom. Boom. At this time, there were bursts of earth-shaking and violent roars from the direction of the huge crack in the sky. The battle between the Mangudon fusion realm boss and the 9th level demon of the netherworld has begun. Because Mangudon defended the Black Mountain base, it also took the initiative in the war. More than 1,000 masters of the fusion realm have established a defense line at the space gap. It is probably impossible for those 9th level demons in the netherworld to break into Mangudon. Chapter 1158, Say What You Want. In the distance, the gap in space was like a torn sky, and there were bursts of earth-shattering noises from it. Those loud noises were like the roar of ancient beasts, and they suddenly woke up the sleeping Su Fan with overwhelming force. His body bounced up from the ground in an instant like an arrow from a bow, and his vigilant eyes were like two sharp cold rays, quickly scanning the surroundings. After a while, Su Fan's tense nerves gradually relaxed and he came to his senses. Su Fan let out a long sigh and sat down heavily again. On the other side of the space gap, so many Mangudon fusion realm masters have come to support. If they can't even defend that crack, they might as well crash into it and die. There is no need for me to worry about the other side of the space gap. At this time, the palm-sized ghost crow flapped its small but powerful wings, landed lightly on his shoulder, and chirped non-stop. Su Fan turned his head and gently stroked its little head. Well, thank you for your hard work. At the same time, in the air next to him, the huge shadow of Xiu's eye slowly emerged. This guy shook his body and tried to show his presence. Su Fan raised his hand and gently touched its big head. His action was full of comfort. He thought for a while, his eyes focused, and sent a thought to Xiaoning. Uncle, when are we leaving the Black Mountain Fortress? At this moment, his condition was extremely bad. His spiritual power was disordered and his body was exhausted. He just hoped to leave this dangerous place as soon as possible and find a quiet place to rest. After a long time, Xiaoning's reply came belatedly. We still have to stay in the Black Mountain base for a few days. Now that the senior leaders of the sect are here, if you have rested well, you should also come out and show your face. This is a good opportunity for you to integrate into the sect. Su Fan understood what Xiaoning meant. They successfully defended the Black Mountain base and made such a great contribution. Now is indeed a good opportunity to integrate into the sect, but he had no such thoughts at all, and he had no interest in integrating into the sect. Su Fan now only wanted to find a comfortable place, have a good sleep, and recuperate. I have overdrawn my physical potential. I must find a place to heal as soon as possible, otherwise it is very likely to damage the foundation of my cultivation. I understand. Come to the teleportation hall immediately. I will arrange someone to send you back to the mountain gate. Seeing Xiaoning's reply, Su Fan forced himself to get up from the ground with his tired body, raised his hand and waved, and put the ghost crow and Zuxu into the portable secret realm. Then, he sent another thought to Yaksha. Yaksha, how is the matter going, my lord? The downgraded 9th level demons and 8th level monsters in the Black Mountain base have basically been collected by this old slave. At this moment, this old slave is collecting the corpses of other monsters outside the fortress. That's about it. Come back soon. I'll wait for you in the teleportation hall. After Su Fan finished speaking, he dragged his heavy steps and walked towards the teleportation hall. Along the way, he noticed that many disciples wearing the clothes of the true demon god sect came to the Black Mountain base. They were carefully collecting the corpses of the sect's disciples. Looking at the corpses of the disciples scattered all over the inner city, Su Fan couldn't help but feel sad inside heavily. Although these true demon god sect disciples who died could receive generous pensions and rewards from the sect, the benefits they received were completely different from those who survived the war. The survivors could not only obtain more resources from the sect, but also have a significant improvement in their status in the sect. The dead disciples could only turn into a pile of cold bones, but they could leave some benefits for their families and their descendants. Soon, Su Fan arrived at a teleportation hall. Looking at the messy ruins around him, his thoughts were instantly pulled back to the tragic war, and the various scenes made him dazed. At this moment, Xiaoning was standing in front of the teleportation hall, and she had regained her former dashing demeanor. A large number of disciples in the sect gathered neatly around her, their eyes full of reverence, waiting for her orders and commands. Those disciples who survived the war stood behind her, all of them energetic and high-spirited, with no trace of fatigue after the war on their faces. Swoosh, a cloud of black smoke wrapped in rolling yin energy came from a distance like lightning, and in the blink of an eye it turned into the ghost of Yaksha. Yaksha knelt down with a thump and bowed deeply. "Old slave, pay homage to my master." Su Fan raised his hand slightly and asked, "How is the collection going, my master?" "This old slave has collected all the corpses of the 9th level demons that were forcibly demoted inside and outside the base, and has also collected nearly 10,000 corpses of 8th level demons." After Yaksha finished speaking, a hint of hesitation flashed across his face. Su Fan frowned when he saw this. "Just say whatever you want to say, my lord. I have also collected a large number of ghosts, many of which are the souls of the disciples of the true demon god sect," Yaksha said carefully, with a hint of trepidation in his voice. Su Fan heard this and laughed. "I don't think it's a big deal, just collect them. So many people died in the war, so how could anyone chase us for these souls?" Hearing Su Fan say this, Yaksha breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, this guy didn't tell the truth. He not only collected the souls of the disciples of the true demon god sect inside and outside the Black Mountain base, but also secretly collected the corpses of many disciples of the refining void realm when no one was paying attention. However, even if Su Fan knew about it, he would not care, because of his great military exploits for the true demon god sect. "I have made such great efforts for the sect, so what's wrong with collecting some corpses of the sect's disciples? Okay, go back. Please help me take good care of Sister Zhen these days." Upon hearing this, Yaksha bowed respectfully, then turned into a puff of ghost smoke and quickly rushed into the Juan's secret realm on Su Fan's waist. Xiaoning saw Su Fan, walked out of the crowd and came to his side. The girl had a smile on her face. When she looked at Su Fan, her face flushed slightly, and a hint of subtle shyness and unnaturalness flashed in her eyes. "I just went to find you, and I saw that you were sleeping soundly, so I didn't have the heart to disturb you." Su Fan smiled, and seeing that Xiaoning was busy at the moment, he stopped talking and directly expressed his thoughts. "My physical condition is very poor, and I urgently need to find a place to heal my wounds." Xiaoning thought for a while after hearing this, and said, "Can't you hold on for another 2 days? When those uncles in the fusion realm seal the gap in space, they will definitely meet us. This is a rare opportunity to show up." Su Fan shook his head helplessly. "I'm afraid I really can't hold on that long. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 1159 The Silly Girl. Xiaoning nodded, turned around and waved to a disciple in the god transformation realm in the distance. "Xiao Feng, come here." Hearing Xiaoning's call, the disciple in the god transformation realm ran over with a smile on his face. "Third sister, what do you want?" Xiaoning took out her identity jade card from the ring and handed it to the cousin. "Take my identity jade card and send him back to the mountain gate in person." Xiao Feng was stunned for a moment, took the identity jade card from the cousin, and looked at Su Fan with a puzzled look on his face. He heard that the cousin had defended the Black Mountain base and made great contributions, so he asked his family to transfer him here, thinking of taking advantage of the cousin's contribution. Unexpectedly, not long after arriving at the Black Mountain base, he was sent back to the mountain gate by the cousin. "Third sister, This senior brother is, Xiao Ning glared and said angrily, "Why are you talking so much nonsense? Just go if I ask you to go." Seeing the cousin's anger, Xiao Feng was frightened and trembled. He nodded and agreed quickly, and patted his chest to promise that he would arrange the senior brother properly. Xiao Ning waved her hand at her cousin. "You go and make the arrangements first." After sending her cousin away, she turned around and smiled at Su Fan. "He is my cousin from the fourth room of my family. He is naughty and mischievous on weekdays. Don't bother with him." Su Fan didn't say anything, but nodded and smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I will personally greet the sect master and ask the sect to arrange a suitable cave for you." "Do you have any special requirements?" Su Fan thought for a moment and said, "I have no other requests, but I don't want everyone in the sect to know my identity. I also want to find a quiet and peaceful place and don't want to be disturbed." Xiao Ning nodded. "I understand. By the way, please help take care of Shen Yu. As for him, let him follow my brother in the future. It is a good idea to let Shen Yu follow Xiao Quan. The two of them have experienced this life and death battle together, and they can be regarded as friends of life and death." Thinking of this, Su Fan took off a jade talisman from his waist and handed it to Xiao Ning. Although this jade talisman is a rare good thing, as long as they carry it with them, they can communicate with each other at any time. But now the gap between their status is huge. After this battle, Xiao Ning's status in the sect is bound to rise. He really doesn't want to have too much interaction with his uncle. Xiao Ning took a look at the jade talisman handed over by Su Fan, and her face changed instantly. Her eyes widened, she glared at Su Fan, and said with a stern face, "What do you mean? Take it back." After that, Xiao Ning snorted coldly, no longer paying attention to Su Fan, turned around and left. Su Fan smiled bitterly, reluctantly put away the jade talisman, and then stepped into the teleportation formation. Xiao Feng had been waiting beside the teleportation formation for a long time. Seeing Su Fan coming, he took him to the teleportation formation. With a flash of dazzling light, Su Fan's figure instantly disappeared from the teleportation formation. When Su Fan opened his eyes again, he had returned to the main base. He followed Xiao Feng out of the teleportation formation and came to the square outside. Instantly, noisy voices came like a tide. "Brother, should we rest for a day in the base?" Su Fan shook his head. "No need, let's go directly." Xiao Feng said no more and took him to a courtyard in the base. Only then did Su Fan understand why Xiao Ning handed his identity jade card to this cousin. After Xiao Feng showed Xiao Ning's identity jade card, several managers of the sect in the courtyard immediately smiled and took it very seriously. They quickly arranged a luxurious small flying boat for them. Xiao Ning led the disciples in the sect to successfully defend the space gap of the Black Mountain base. Now he is famous in the sect and everyone naturally dares not neglect it. The two came to the airport outside the base and boarded the small flying boat. It is said that this small luxury flying boat is the exclusive vehicle of a certain fusion realm boss in the sect. It was temporarily requisitioned for them for Xiao Ning's sake. Although this flying boat is not large, only a few dozen feet in size, its internal facilities are extremely luxurious, with only a few luxurious cabins. Not only that, the flying boat is also equipped with more than 10 beautiful and graceful maids, who are responsible for serving the two people's daily life. Su Fan, led by two female cultivators, walked into a luxurious suite cabin. He looked around and looked at the luxurious facilities in the cabin. He couldn't help but secretly smack his lips, and sighed in his heart that this was too corrupt. Su Fan sat cross-legged in the hall of the cabin. The two beautiful female cultivators were quick and nimble, and quickly lit a nourishing incense. The curling green smoke rose up, exuding a light and elegant fragrance. Then they brewed a pot of spiritual tea for him, and the steaming tea fragrance filled the entire cabin. Su Fan took out a storage ring and threw it to the two female cultivators. "I will be in seclusion to heal my injuries during this period. If there is nothing important, don't disturb me." The two female cultivators bowed respectfully and slowly left the cabin. After the two female cultivators left the cabin, Su Fan set up a secret formation at the cabin door, and then flashed into the Juan's secret realm. He came to the familiar valley and sat cross-legged on the stone platform. Su Fan glanced at the oil lamp magic weapon next to him and found that the evil Buddha Wangda was not in the lamp holder. At this time, Yaksha suddenly appeared from nowhere and knelt in front of him with a thump. "Old slave, welcome my master." Su Fan waved his hand and pointed to the oil lamp magic weapon next to him. "Where is Lao Wang?" Old Wang is doing his best to treat Sister Zhen's ghost body. Su Fan nodded and said, you go and do your thing. Yaksha turned into a ghost smoke and disappeared in the air in an instant. This guy just collected a large number of high-level monster corpses and countless ghosts, and is now busy in the Juan's secret realm. Su Fan glanced at the oil lamp magic weapon next to him again. He was not in a hurry. He slowly closed his eyes, crossed his knees and practiced his skills, patiently waiting for the appearance of the evil Buddha Wangda. Why did you come just now? After an unknown amount of time, he heard the slightly hoarse voice of the evil Buddha Wangda and slowly opened his eyes. Something happened outside just now. The evil Buddha Wangda snorted coldly and threw a black jade card to Su Fan. That girl is lucky. I went through a lot of trouble to save her ghost body. Now her ghost body is sleeping in this ghost card. Don't disturb her. Su Fan took the ghost card and felt a bone-chilling coldness where he touched it. A trace of cold and gloomy air was like a smart snake surrounding it. He used his spiritual sense and scanned the ghost card. He saw a faint ghost smoke floating in a gloomy and dark space. Thinking of how she stood in front of him without hesitation and sacrificed herself to save him, Su Fan couldn't help but feel a pain in his heart inside secretly. This silly girl. He returned the ghost card to the evil Buddha Wangda and said, Senior, you should keep Sister Zhen by your side. You must take good care of her. The evil Buddha Wangda solemnly took the ghost card and put it away carefully. Seeing that Su Fan was so caring and affectionate to a low-level ghost slave, Lao Wen couldn't help but feel a lot of emotion in his heart, secretly sighing that this girl was lucky to meet a master like Su Fan. Chapter 1160. These guys are really thieves? Now that Sister Zhen is out of danger, Su Fan's tense heartstrings finally relaxed. He chatted with the evil Buddha Wangda for a while, and then went straight back to the portable secret realm. Su Fan slowly sat cross-legged by the clear pond next to the thatched cottage, and his aura gradually subsided, and then immersed himself in the practice of Hununhuiki's henging. After the fierce battles in those days, he seemed to have experienced a baptism of life and death, physically and mentally exhausted, and his magic power was like a dried-up spring that needed to be refilled. Qi and blood were like a chaotic flow that needed to be reconciled, and his consciousness was like a broken mirror that needed to be repaired, and they had not recovered to their former heyday. Senior, what are we going to eat tonight? Li Chongxiu came to Su Fan's side lightly without knowing when, and asked softly. Su Fan suddenly came back to his senses, and then he remembered that Sister Zhen was now in a deep sleep. Now only Li Chongxiu was with him in this portable secret realm. Just do whatever you want, just make your own arrangements, Li Chongxiu asked again with concern. Senior, how is Sister Zhen's injury now? Su Fan's eyes dimmed slightly, and he said, the injury has stabilized, but her ghost body has been severely damaged. She needs to rest in the Juan's secret realm for a year or two before she can recover as before. Hearing this, Li Chongxiu felt a sense of joy inexplicably, and then she smiled and ran to the yard quickly to prepare dinner. She already had some cooking skills. In order to better cater to Su Fan's taste, she has always been humbly following Sister Zhen to study cooking. Moreover, she is gifted, and her attainments in cooking have a tendency to surpass Sister Zhen. Anyway, at dinner time, the table was full of dishes with good color, fragrance and taste. After tasting them, Su Fan couldn't help but praise Li Chongxiu's cooking skills. He had been fighting hard for many days in the Black Mountain base, and his body and mind had been exhausted to the extreme. At this moment, he was in a good mood and took out a jar of spirit wine from the ring and drank it happily. After eating and drinking, Su Fan walked back to the thatched cottage with a slightly drunken pace and fell asleep. He slept until the afternoon of the next day, and then woke up slowly. Su Fan sat up slowly from the couch and raised his hand to rub his sleepy eyes. He thought for a while and took out a jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from the ring. With a jade talisman in hand, Su Fan gently activated it, and in an instant, dozens of messages from Qin Yu poured into his sea of consciousness like a tide. He did not rush to check these messages, but sent a message first. Qin Yu, I was accidentally trapped in a space gap a while ago, and there was no way to get in touch with the outside world. As soon as the message was sent, Qin Yu's reply came back in the blink of an eye. Devours, you finally sent a message. Are you trapped in the Black Mountain base? I heard that there were hundreds of thousands of cultivators gathered there, but less than 100 survived in the end. Su Fan's heart trembled slightly. He did not expect that the matter of the Black Mountain base had spread throughout the world of cultivation. Well, I was lucky enough to crawl out of the pile of dead bodies. I thought so. I sent you so many messages. But none of them responded. I have always been worried about your safety. Qin Yu's words were full of concern. Su Fan keenly noticed that Qin Yu had something to say, so he sent a message to ask, did something happen recently? In order to find your whereabouts, the Celestials actually issued a bounty in Mangudan. Seeing the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan's brows knitted tightly. These guys are really thieves. When I break through the realm of refining emptiness in the future, I will definitely settle all the old and new accounts together. It's okay. Now we are the inner disciples of the true demon god sect. There is no need to care too much about them. Devours, I didn't expect you to join the true demon god sect. That is the famous super demon sect of Mangudan. Qin Yu's surprise was beyond words. But in Su Fan's opinion, no matter how big the sect is, he is not a direct disciple after all, and the sect can hardly regard him as a core person. Well, I am lucky. By chance, I met a big man in the fusion realm in the sect. He appreciated me and recruited me into the sect. Then I feel relieved. Even if the Celestials are arrogant and domineering, they dare not easily attack you. However, you must not take it lightly and beware of them secretly tripping you up. Su Fan sneered in his heart. They might have made a wrong calculation. He will soon return to the sect to heal his wounds. This time when he returns to the sect, he will definitely find a quiet place to recuperate his body and mind, and live comfortably for a few years. He doesn't believe that the Celestials really have the courage to attack him in the mountain gate of the true demon god sect. In the following month, Su Fan has been staying in the portable secret realm with peace of mind. After stepping on the flying boat, Xiao Feng never paid attention to Su Fan from beginning to end. Although Xiao Ninghong, the clan sister, was quite polite to Su Fan, in the eyes of Xiao Feng, the family dandy, Su Fan was just an unknown person and was not worthy of his attention at all. Su Fan wanted this very much, as he was extremely disgusted with such self-important family children. The two of them had different paths and could not make plans together, so they went their separate ways and ended up in peace and comfort. The flying boat flew in the vast sky for more than a month, and finally passed through the netherworld and arrived at the nearest fairy city to the war zone. The two of them took several teleportation arrays and finally arrived at the mountain gate of the true demon god sect after some twists and turns. Su Fan followed Xiao Feng to the internal affairs hall to complete the registration procedures, and then according to Su Fan's wishes, the sect arranged a very quiet cave for him. The location of this cave is quite remote, and there is no trace of other caves of fellow disciples within dozens of miles around. But the spiritual energy here is so rich that it is almost materialized, as if it has turned into a gurgling spiritual spring. The environment is even more quiet and elegant, like a fairyland on earth. It is indeed an excellent place for cultivation. After Xiao Feng properly arranged Su Fan, he couldn't wait to rush back. Now Xiao Ninghong is in the limelight in the sect and his status is at its peak. He's thinking about returning to his sister as soon as possible so that he can get some credit and gain benefits. Su Fan came to the outside of the cave alone, looked around, and carefully looked at the surrounding environment. I saw that the continuous mountains were like winding dormant dragons. The mountains were clear and steep, but they did not lose their agile beauty. On each towering peak, there was a clear spring dripping like a silver thread, playing a natural melody. On the mountains, the trees were lush and green, with luxuriant branches and leaves, like a green ocean, with waves rising and falling in the breeze. There are exotic flowers and plants dotted here, colorful and gorgeous, emitting bursts of refreshing fragrance. There are also the majestic mountain spring waterfalls, pouring down from the top of the mountain, like the Milky Way hanging upside down, roaring. There are also the clear streams, winding and sparkling, jumping between the rocks. Between the mountains, there are clouds and mists all year round, like a layer of gauze, adding a bit of mystery to this world. At a glance, you can know that this is a feng shui treasure land, where the earth veins converge and spiritual objects gather. Chapter 1161, Demon Slayer List released. Su Fan came to the misty forest at the foot of the mountain, which looked like a fairyland on earth. He took out a formation talisman from his sleeve and gently drew it. In an instant, the mist seemed to be stirred by an invisible big hand, rolling and spreading to both sides, and a hidden passage suddenly appeared in front of Su Fan. He stepped into the cave. A strong and almost liquefied spiritual energy rushed towards him like a flood that broke through the dam. Su Fan felt that every cell in his body seemed to be injected with a vigorous vitality, cheering and jumping for joy. The feeling of comfort went deep into his bones. Su Fan walked along a winding gravel path and walked towards the depths of the valley. The dense forests on both sides of the path were like a green ocean, with lush branches and leaves, layer upon layer, covering the sky tightly. The clear streams, like lively ribbons, flowed slowly down from the mountain stream. The stream water is so clear that it is almost transparent. It jumps and splashes happily between the cracks of several jagged rocks, splashing crystal clear white flowers like pearls. At the end of the valley, a small lake carefully dug by man quietly comes into Su Fan's sight. A large area of thick fog as white as cotton wool covers the entire lake tightly, as if it has been covered with a mysterious and noble veil. Through the hazy mist, a large area of vibrant and green lotus flowers can be vaguely seen growing in the lake. The breeze blows gently, and the lotus flowers sway gently, like a group of fairies in green dance skirts, dancing in the water, graceful and beautiful. To the north of the lake is a steep cliff that looks like it was cut by an axe, and to the south is a quiet, elegant, peaceful bamboo forest. Mountains, rivers, bamboos and trees complement each other, forming a beautiful scenery that is as poetic as a painting and as dreamy as a dream. Occasionally, a cloud of water mist that has not yet dissipated floats by like a fairy strolling leisurely, making Su Fan feel as if he is in a fairyland. Through the light mist on the lake, you can vaguely see a simple and elegant thatched cottage under the shade of the lake, exuding a peaceful and warm atmosphere. Su Fan took a deep breath of this rich spiritual energy, and felt refreshed and relaxed, as if all the fatigue and troubles were swept away. At least in the next few years, this will be his home. In the next few months, Su Fan hardly left the house, staying comfortably in the cave every day, living a leisurely life, as if he was completely isolated from the disturbances of the outside world. At this time, except for some high-level cultivators who were about to die, the rest of the cultivators in the transformation realm, refining void realm and combination realm were almost all withdrawn from the mountain gate of the true demon god sect. Only a few disciples below the nascent soul realm were left in the sect, which seemed particularly deserted. So Su Fan's return to the mountain gate hardly caused any splashes, because most people didn't know him anyway. However, Xiaoning and those disciples who survived the defense of the Black Mountain base were busy almost all the time during this period. Xiaoning led hundreds of thousands of true demon god sect disciples to defend the Black Mountain base fortress, creating an immortal feat of blocking the monsters from the netherworld realm outside the space gap. This news spread throughout the world of cultivation in a very short time, as if it had wings, causing an uproar. Although the other two space gaps in the netherworld of the barbarian bone heaven were captured by the monsters from the netherworld realm, as expected. But the victory in the defense of the Black Mountain base was like a reassurance, which reduced the pressure on the high-level bosses of Mangutuan and the entire Yuan Moji. Now the true demon god sect and Mangutuan, and even the entire Yuan Moji, have been promoting this, and have regarded the deeds of Xiaoning and others as legends. Xiaoning and others have been constantly appearing in various war zones in the netherworld, and have launched a massive publicity tour. Now they are treated like heroes. No matter where they go, they will cause a great sensation. Wherever they go, there are crowds of people cheering. This also adds endless fighting spirit to the countless monks gathered in the netherworld Mangutuan, and the originally low morale was swept away. Xiaoning and others have also been repeatedly received by the true demon god sect and Mangutuan, as well as the high-level bosses of the entire Yuan Moji, and various commendations and rewards have been sprinkled like they are free. Anyway, Xiaoning and the cultivators who survived the Black Mountain base defense war have made a lot of money in the past few months, and have enjoyed supreme glory and become the focus of the entire world of cultivation. As a result, the true demon god sect has completely made a name for itself in the entire Yuanmo realm, and has leapt from a relatively low-key super demon sect to a famous sect that is feared by the world of cultivation. Although the true demon god sect was probably not even in the top 10 in Mangutuan, it is now well known. All the disciples of the true demon god sect feel honored and full of pride. Su Fan knows nothing about what happened outside. Now he stays in the cave of the true demon god sect every day, healing his wounds and immersing himself in his own world. With the fall of the two space gaps in the netherworld, the war between Mangutuan and the netherworld realm has officially begun. The main battlefields of both sides are concentrated within a radius of thousands of miles of the two space gaps. Fortunately, after the space gap appeared, Mangutuan had enough time to build an indestructible defense line in these two areas. Almost all the masters of the fusion realm of the entire Mangution have already arrived at the front line. Facing the endless and surging monsters in the netherworld, countless cultivators in the nascent soul realm, the god transformation realm, and the refining void realm, all resolutely stood at the forefront of the battlefield. The two battlefields were like a huge meat grinder. Countless cultivators on both sides died every moment, and the blood dyed the whole world red, showing the cruelty of the war. A few months after the war, countless huge transparent light curtains rose into the sky in the two battlefields of the netherworld of Mangution and the major immortal cities, as if they were going to penetrate the sky. Seeing these light curtains soaring into the sky, countless cultivators were all excited, and they all gathered under the light curtains with expectation. Because today is the day when the Demon Slayer list is released. Everyone wants to know who will be the top of the list this time. In previous catastrophes, the top of the Demon Slayer list was most likely to be sword cultivators who came from various planes to support. Boom! As a violent buzzing sound sounded, it seemed as if the heaven and earth were shaking. The huge light curtains in various places of barbarian bone heaven flickered violently, as if foreshadowing that a shocking event was about to happen. Then, rows of handwriting began to appear on those huge light curtains, and each word exuded a mysterious light. The names of the top 100 cultivators on the Demon Slayer list began to appear on the huge light curtains. Starting from the 100th place on the Demon Slayer list, they appeared one by one on those huge light curtains. Every time a name appeared on the light curtain, there would be a huge cheer from the sect where the cultivator was, and even from the light curtain of the plane he came from. The sound was deafening, as if it would break through the clouds. It was indeed no different from the past. Among the cultivators who could enter the top 100 of the Demon Slayer list, sword cultivators accounted for more than half. After the appearance of the first 99 cultivators, all the cultivators under the light curtains were trembling with excitement. Because the name of the cultivator who appeared next was the current top of the Demon Slayer list. At this moment, all the light curtains in the entire Mangution became silent. Everyone held their breath and stared at the light curtains opposite without blinking, as if time had frozen. Finally, a line of handwriting appeared on the huge light curtains. Top of the list, True Demon Sect, Su Fan, from Jiaoxu Realm, battle record, destroyed 6 starry sky gates of the netherworld alone, killed 1,273 9th-level demons who were forcibly demoted, and killed 8th-level monsters. Chapter 1162. Why bother with those details? This line of words, like a powerful heavy bomb, instantly set off a storm in the crowd, and everyone's face was full of disbelief. In a flash, the light curtains of all places in the Mangution were completely boiling. The cheers and exclamations of countless cultivators intertwined, like a surging wave, rushing straight towards the sky, as if to break through the sky. Su Fan. Why does this name sound so familiar? In the crowd, someone was full of doubts and muttered in a low voice. Isn't this guy the big devil who was rewarded with a large sum of money by the Shinran clan some time ago? When did he become a disciple of a heavenly demon sect? Another voice sounded with deep surprise. I don't know who he is, but his record, I'm afraid he is bragging, someone else questioned. Stupid. This is the data calculated by the ancient immortal artifact demon slaying monument, how can it be false? Even a super boss in the fusion realm can't cheat on this. At this time, someone immediately refuted. This true demon god sect is really lucky. It actually recruited this big devil into the sect and won the top spot on the Demon Slayer list for nothing. Everyone was talking about it, and their words were full of amazement and envy. No one had expected that this big devil, who has always been famous for his cruelty and violence, could create such an astonishing and amazing record. At this moment, in a stone house in the Black Mountain base, more than a dozen true demon god sect masters of the fusion realm were sitting cross-legged. Each of their faces was filled with irrepressible excitement. In recent days, their true demon god sect can be said to be extremely prosperous and popular. First, Zioning, the girl, led hundreds of thousands of sect disciples to defend the space gap in the Black Mountain base, and made great military achievements for the true demon god sect. The popularity of this girl has not completely dissipated. Once the Demon Slayer list was released, Su Fan won the honor of the top spot again. Putting aside other things, these two things alone are enough to make the true demon god sect famous throughout the world of cultivation. Sitting at the top was a white-haired old man in the late stage of the fusion realm, who is none other than the Honxi divine venerable in the sect. His eyes were like torches, slowly sweeping over the people in the room, and his excitement was evident in his eyes. By the way, Junior Brother Zuli, didn't your girl hand over the video of the battle at the Black Mountain base? The next step is to spread those videos to the entire Yuan Motion, so that the reputation of our sect will be further enhanced. Hearing the words of the Hongxi Divine Venerable, a barely perceptible sense of unnaturalness flashed across the face of the Hongxi Divine Venerable. Reporting to Senior Brother Hongzai, that video, the Zuli Divine Venerable was about to speak but stopped. Seeing this, the Hongxi Divine Venerable could not help but frown. Junior Brother, if you have something to say, just say it. Reporting to Senior Brother Hongxi, I think that video should not be spread everywhere. The Bloody God hesitated for a moment, but still expressed his thoughts. The Hongxi God's eyes condensed, and said, then let's all take a look at the video first. Upon hearing this, the Bloody God hurriedly took out a microarray disc from the ring, and gently activated it. And a transparent light curtain appeared instantly. After a while, the video was played, and the dozen or so true Demon God Sect Fusion Realm old monsters in the room all fell silent. It was not until this time that they completely understood the good intentions of Junior Brother Zuli. It turned out that the battle at the Black Mountain base was actually defended by that little devil alone, and it had almost nothing to do with their true Demon God Sect disciples. If it weren't for this kid turning the tide, how could the Black Mountain base be defended with only Zioning and the disciples in the sect? Although Su Fan is now a disciple of their true Demon God Sect, everyone knows that he is a murderous demon. In fact, these old monsters in the true Demon God Sect want to see the battle footage of the pure-blooded disciples of the sect such as Zioning, rather than Su Fan's personal heroic show. For a while, the atmosphere in the room became extremely depressing. All the big brothers in the true Demon God Sect were silent, and the air seemed to be frozen. After a long time, Hongzai Shenzhen finally broke the silence and slowly said, I think this video should be released. As soon as these words came out, all the big brothers in the true Demon God Sect were stunned, with incredible faces. Lord Hongxi looked at everyone in the room, and then said, that little devil is now also a disciple of our sect. Our true demon sect has a disciple with such incredible strength, isn't it a great thing? Lord Zuli heard it, smiled bitterly and said, brother, but his identity, then according to you, what is his identity now? Lord Zuli was stunned for a moment, and replied, he is now, an inner disciple of our sect. Lord Hongxi heard it, clapped his hands suddenly, laughed and said, that's it. He is a disciple of our sect, why bother about those details? After all, he is the top boss of the true demon sect. This pattern is indeed extraordinary. As long as they insist that Su Fan is a disciple of their true demon sect and spread the images of the Black Mountain base defense war, isn't it their sect that will benefit in the end? In fact, all the masters of the combined realm in the room thought so in their hearts, but except for the top master of the sect, Hongxi Divine Venerable, no one else could make a decision easily. Hongxi Divine Venerable thought for a while, and then said, however, before this video is spread out, it must be carefully edited. We can't just let this kid steal the show. We must also keep as many scenes of the disciples as possible. After hearing what Hongxi Divine Venerable said, everyone in the room understood and smiled. A few days later, the true demon divine sect spread the edited video. As expected, it instantly caused a huge sensation in Barbarian Bone Heaven. Then, it set off an uproar in Yuan Demon Realm and even the entire world of cultivation. Although the video of the Black Mountain base defense battle was repeatedly edited by the true demon divine sect, many scenes of Su Fan were deleted, and the battle scenes of Zioning and other disciples in the sect were retained as much as possible. But even so, in the eyes of everyone, this video still looks like a personal show of Su Fan. Just as Lord Hongxi had predicted, after the true demon sect released this video, the sect's reputation was once again pushed to the forefront. In just a few months, the true demon sect has been a hot search topic, and the popularity has never subsided. Chapter 1163 How long will you stay in seclusion? What Su Fan didn't know was that he had become famous in the entire world of cultivation, and his reputation was as hot as oil. At this moment, he stayed in his cave every day, and was completely unaware of the earth-shaking changes outside. In the early morning, the first ray of sunlight sprinkled on the lake, rippling the waves. Su Fan lazily slumped on the recliner by the lake, staring at the lake with a vacant look. There was a low table next to him, and tea was boiling on a small red clay stove, and the aroma of tea drifted in the air. By the water, several fishing rods were neatly placed, as if quietly waiting for the fish to bite. These days, fishing has become his daily compulsory course, and he almost stays by the lake. Except when he goes back to eat, he will return to the portable secret realm. This is all because of that girl Lee Chong-siu, who has been tossing him hard these days. The girl wandered in front of him all day, showing off her graceful figure intentionally or unintentionally from time to time, with a teasing look in her eyes. Since he swallowed a large amount of demon blood, Su Fan felt like a powder keg that could catch fire at any time. In addition, he had sacrificed countless demons in the netherworld before. After the blood of those demons was purified by the blood shadow god descending array, although it turned into pure blood, it still retained a trace of demon habits. This also made Su Fan more and more restless and uneasy, like a teddy bear that was staring at the sky, the earth and the air. Su Fan knew clearly that Lee Chong-siu's mind was just to have a legitimate identity by his side and be a maid. This girl was born as a concubine's daughter, and she didn't have much ambition. She never dared to hope to become his Taoist partner. She just felt that if she didn't have a status, it would be a bit unreasonable to stay in Su Fan's portable secret realm for a long time. In fact, Su Fan didn't feel disgusted with her. Instead, he admired the girl's cleverness. It didn't matter to give her the status of a maid. But now Sister Zhen was in a deep sleep, and Su Fan always felt that he had to wait for Sister Zhen to wake up before making plans. After all, when he was in the most dangerous time, Sister Zhen stepped forward without hesitation. How could he forget this kindness? When Sister Zhen was sleeping, he really didn't want to cross the line with Lee Chong-siu. He knew in his heart that with Sister Zhen's personality, she might not care about these things at all. Maybe she would be happy to see Lee Chong-siu getting close to her. But Su Fan didn't think so. In his heart, Sister Zhen had long been like a family member. At this time, his waist suddenly vibrated slightly. Su Fan reached out and took off the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist. It was a message from Qin Yu. He lowered his head and glanced at it. The corners of his mouth unconsciously rose slightly, revealing a slight smile. Devours, the top leaders of the organization summoned me today and talked to me about some of your things. Su Fan never had a good impression of the top leaders of Ruai Pavilion. If it weren't for Qin Yu's face, he would have quit Ruai Pavilion long ago, and he wouldn't have been kicked out and come back in disgrace. What did they talk to you about? Soon, Qin Yu's reply came. Several high-level officials of our organization hope to meet with you. Come on, you are so annoying. I am almost annoyed to death by you, and you still want to meet me. What good things are you thinking about? No, Qin Yu on the other side may have expected that he would reply like this, and then sent another message. Devours, the organization has promoted you to gold customer, and you will enjoy many privileges in the organization in the future. Don't tell me about this, I will leave it to you to handle. He thought the conversation ended here, but unexpectedly Qin Yu sent another message. By the way, Devours, the video of your defense of the Black Mountain base has been released by the True Demon God sect. Now the light screens in all parts of the Yuan Motion are playing this video of your battle every day. Seeing this message, Su Fan was stunned for a moment. How could the True Demon God sect have the video of the defense of the Black Mountain? He clearly remembered that he didn't see Xiaoning and the others setting up the magic weapon to record the video at that time. Now it's good, he originally wanted to keep a low profile, but now he is afraid that it will be completely ruined. No, he must not leave the cave during this period. When others asked, he said he was in seclusion to heal his wounds. Anyway, he had made up his mind not to show up in public for the next few decades, otherwise all kinds of troubles would definitely annoy him. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu briefly for a few more words, and then put away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion. How long will you stay in seclusion? At this moment, a thought from Xiaoning came to Su Fan's mind. During his seclusion, Xiaoning would send him thoughts almost every now and then. Xiaoning helped him collect the rewards from the top bosses in True Demon God sect and Yuan Demon Realm and other places, and would describe to him what she saw and heard during this period in a vivid way. She urged Su Fan to come out of seclusion more than once and quickly reunite with him, thinking of taking this opportunity to let Su Fan show his face more. After all, this impressive record is a lifetime honor for all the monks who participated in the defense of the Black Mountain base. But Su Fan was so good that he hid in the cave at the mountain gate to heal his wounds in seclusion, missing this great opportunity. Xiaoning couldn't understand why. Did this guy know what he had missed? But Su Fan had never been interested in such things that attracted attention. Although Xiaoning and others were touring the Yuanmo realm to promote the event and enjoying supreme glory, to Su Fan, these false names were nothing but passing clouds. However, he also understood that Xiaoning was really thinking about him, and he naturally remembered this favor. At that time, in order to defend the base, I overdrew my vitality and damaged my cultivation foundation. I'm afraid I won't be able to recover in 10 or 20 years. After a long while, Xiaoning's thoughts finally came again. For your matter, I have talked to several uncles in the sect. Uncle Hongxi of the sect has expressed his position. In order to commend your contribution to the sect, no matter what you ask for, the sect will agree. Seeing this thought, Su Fan instantly became energetic and ecstatic. There is such a good thing. Since the big boss of the sect has said so, don't blame me for being rude. Su Fan began to think about what to ask for from the sect. After thinking for a while, he suddenly had an idea. But he was not sure whether the sect could meet his request. He quickly sent a thought to Xiaoning. Uncle, can you ask the uncle in the sect for me if he can provide me with a few corpses of the 9th level demons in the netherworld? If it were another time, Su Fan's request would indeed be a bit difficult. But at this time, it was not a difficult task for the top bosses of the true demon god sect. After all, thousands of Mangutian fusion masters fought a bloody battle with the 9th level demons in the netherworld in the gap of space. Mangutian had the advantage of terrain and home field, and the number of people was far greater than the other side. Both sides killed each other, so they could leave a few corpses of the 9th level demons. Okay. It happens that Uncle Hongxi will meet us in a while. I will ask him for you. Thank you, Uncle. You have been worrying about my affairs. Don't come on. I am not an ungrateful person. Xiaoning sent a thought, and then stopped communicating with him. But Su Fan had already begun to yearn for it. The Woman Upper Realm boss had promised him that as long as he had 3 corpses of the Fusion Realm bosses, he could help him improve his realm to the Refining Void Realm. Now if he could get a few corpses of the 9th Order Great Demons from the Netherworld Realm, maybe he could really help him realize this wish. Chapter 1164 Who do I look down on? I am a rich man now. After a while, Su Fan clearly received a thought from Xiaoning in his mind. When Master Hongxi met us just now, I told him your request. Master Hongxi agreed. I will arrange for someone to send the things back to the mountain gate for you in the next few days. After receiving Xiaoning's thought, Su Fan was so excited that he could hardly control himself. He really didn't expect that the true demon god sect actually agreed to his request. This was undoubtedly a huge surprise. Su Fan had no idea that no matter what request he made to the sect, Master Hongxi would agree without hesitation. Since the video of the Black Mountain base defense war was widely spread, Su Fan has become the treasure of the true demon god sect, and it is not too much to win him over in any way. Su Fan exchanged a few more words with Xiaoning, and then lazily collapsed on the recliner again. Suddenly, on the calm lake, the fish bladder moved slightly. Su Fan was quick-eyed and quick-handed. He jumped up from the recliner in an instant and quickly picked up the fishing rod placed by the water. After some trouble, he successfully put the spiritual fish he caught into the bucket by the lake. Senior, how many spiritual fish did you catch today? At this time, Li Shangxiu came out of the secret realm, hopped to the bucket by the lake, and looked around curiously. Wow, you caught so many. Let's eat fish tonight. Okay, let's eat fish. Su Fan responded while skillfully putting the fishing rod back in place, and then leisurely lying on the recliner. Li Changxiu obediently brewed a pot of fragrant spiritual tea for him, and then carefully poured him a cup and respectfully presented it to him with both hands. Senior, I want to go out for a walk tomorrow. Staying in the secret realm every day, there is no one to talk to. It's really boring. Li Shangxiu's tone was a little coquettish. Su Fan nodded slightly after hearing this and agreed. Okay, let's go to the nearby fairy city tomorrow. In fact, he had been staying in the cave for these days, and he had long thought of going out for a walk. The next morning, Su Fan took Li Changxiu out of the mountain gate and came to the prosperous and lively True Demon Fairy City hundreds of miles away. True Demon Fairy City is roughly similar to other fairy cities in the world of cultivation. The city is large in scale, and the streets are crowded with people and bustling. Perhaps because she had been depressed in the portable secret realm for too long, Li Shangxiu was like a wild horse running away from the reins as soon as she entered the fairy city, and she excitedly went shopping in every store. Su Fan looked at her full of energy and didn't care too much. He just followed a girl silently and wandered around the city. Not only that, He also specifically told Lee Chongxiu to buy whatever she liked without considering the price. Lee Chongxiu was a sensible girl after all. Most of the time, she shopped a lot and bought little. Moreover, she had a very good sense of proportion. No matter what she chose, she would carefully bring a portion for Sister Zhen. Su Fan accompanied Lee Chongxiu for a whole morning, and gradually, he really didn't want to continue shopping. So, he found a stone bench on the street, sat down slowly, and then let Lee Chongxiu go to play by himself. Su Fan sat on the stone bench, quietly watching the endless stream of people on the street. And a long-lost sense of comfort surged in his heart. Thinking back to the years in the underworld, it was desolate and dilapidated, the environment was extremely bad, and the sky was always gray. Since he came out of that ghost place, even looking at the slightly messy streets in front of him, he didn't feel irritated at all. At this time, Su Fan's eyes suddenly condensed. He quickly stood up from the stone bench, and strode towards a store. He raised his head, took a closer look at the shop's plaque, and then walked into the shop. As soon as Su Fan stepped into the shop, he heard a harsh scolding and insulting voice from inside. He hurriedly pushed through the crowd and walked in quickly. Lee Chongxiu was surrounded by several women with fierce faces. They pushed and shoved her viciously and kept insulting her. There were also several arrogant monks outside, surrounding a young man with an arrogant face. A middle-aged man who looked like a shop owner was talking to the young man with a flattering face. HMPH, Su Fan's face suddenly darkened and he snorted coldly. In an instant, everyone in the shop felt that their eyes suddenly went black, and their heads seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer, buzzing. Su Fan walked over a few steps, grabbed Lee Chongxiu's hand, and then turned around and took her out of the shop. It was not until the two of them came to the street that Lee Chongxiu finally came to her senses. Senior, just now Su Fan gently waved his hand and interrupted her. It's okay, let's continue shopping. He didn't take what just happened seriously at all. With Lee Chongxiu's gentle personality, she was probably bullied by others. However, for Su Fan now, it doesn't matter. His current identity is sensitive, and he doesn't want to cause any trouble near the mountain gate. Senior, I don't want to go shopping anymore, Lee Chongxiu said with a frustrated face. After what happened just now, she no longer had the interest to go shopping. Then let's find a place to eat, Su Fan said and took Lee Chongxiu to look for a suitable place to eat on the street. Now that he is rich, he naturally wants to find a luxurious restaurant to taste the local specialties, which can also be regarded as a way to calm Lee Chongxiu. The two found a restaurant that looked very luxurious on the main street, but as soon as they entered, they were stopped by the waiter at the door, who told them that the restaurant was full. Su Fan had no choice but to take Lee Chongxiu out and find several equally luxurious restaurants on the main street one after another, but the answer they got was that they were all full and they were ruthlessly turned away. This is fucking. Su Fan frowned and looked at the restaurant with a depressed face, and he felt so bad in his heart. Although the waiters in the restaurants were very polite, even if Su Fan was stupid, he understood it now. These luxury restaurants do not accept ordinary outsiders at all, which is probably similar to the membership clubs in the previous life. In fact, Su Fan himself rarely went to such luxurious places for meals before. Because Lee Chongxiu was wrong just now, he thought of finding a high-end place to make the girl happy. Anyway, he is rich now, and there is no pressure to spend money anywhere. But who would have thought that he was rejected after going to several restaurants in succession? This also completely angered Su Fan, and I don't believe it. Who are you looking down on? I am a rich man now. Chapter 1165 I'll take you to a good place. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and he subconsciously wanted to send a thought to Xiaoning. After all, Xiaoning was an elite disciple of the true demon god sect and could be called a local snake. It would be no problem to ask her to help find a suitable restaurant. But as soon as the thought came up, Su Fan gave up the idea. He had always claimed to the outside world that he was in seclusion to heal his injuries, but now he ran to the true demon fairy city to look for a restaurant. If people knew about it, this lie would be unrecoverable, and how could he live a quiet life in the sect in the future? However, Su Fan's mind turned, and he soon came up with a new idea. He reached to his waist, took off the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion, and sent a clear message to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, does the organization have a better restaurant in the true demon fairy city? Not long after, Qin Yu replied with a message. Yes, you can go to Songtaoju. This is a Ruai Pavilion business. I will arrange it for you right away." After hearing this, Su Fan's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a satisfied smile, and then carefully put away the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion. "Let's go. I'll take you to a good place." After that, he led Li Chongxiu to the outside of a luxurious restaurant. The facade of this restaurant was designed in a unique style. It did not have the market atmosphere of ordinary restaurants at all, but instead exuded a mysterious and elegant atmosphere. The flying eaves, brackets, carved beams and painted buildings, every detail showed extraordinary, and you could tell at a glance that it was not simple. "Senior, let's just find a place to eat." Li Chongxi looked up at the extraordinary restaurant. Her heart was full of trepidation, and her voice unconsciously carried a hint of timidity. In her past experience, she had never set foot in such a luxurious place. Just looking at the appearance of this restaurant, she was already in awe. How can that be possible? Su Fan was secretly competing in her heart. She had to find a luxurious restaurant to have a good meal today, which could be regarded as making up for the grievances she had suffered before. Su Fan walked straight into the restaurant. Li Chongxiu bit her lip when she saw this, and could only follow quickly. As soon as Su Fan stepped into the restaurant, a beautiful and graceful female cultivator came up to her with a smile. That smile was like the warm spring sun, making people feel comfortable. "Welcome to our store, senior. Do you have an appointment?" Su Fan couldn't help but frown slightly after hearing this, and then smiled and shook his head. "Senior, I'm sorry, our store is full." The female cultivator still kept smiling and refused tactfully. At this moment, a figure hurriedly ran out from the depths of the restaurant. The person who came was an old man in the state of transformation. He had sharp eyes and recognized Su Fan at a glance. His face was immediately filled with a flattering smile. After waving his hand to send the female cultivator away, he quickly walked to Su Fan, bowed his hands respectfully, and put his posture very low. "I am Fu Hongyu, the shopkeeper of our store, but fellow Taoist Su Fan." Su Fan nodded slightly, confirming his identity. A hint of surprise flashed in Fu Hongyu's eyes, and the smile on his face became even stronger, and his attitude became more humble. "Fellow Taoist, please follow me. I have already arranged everything for you." Fu Hongyu led the way in front, leading Su Fan and Li Chongxiu to a small courtyard behind the store. As soon as he stepped into the small courtyard, Su Fan smelled a faint fragrance. The fragrance was quiet and elegant, as if it was there and not there, and it instantly made people feel relaxed and happy. Looking up, the layout of the courtyard was extremely simple, but it was full of craftsmanship. Several spiritual plants were placed in a staggered manner, and the leaves swayed gently in the breeze, making a rustling sound. The ground was paved with smooth bluestone, and a few green grass occasionally emerged from the gaps, adding a bit of vitality to the entire courtyard. In the middle of the courtyard stood a white jade table. The material was warm and cool to the touch, and it was an extraordinary thing at first glance. Several beautiful female cultivators were setting up the dining table skillfully, and many people were coming in and out of the courtyard, carrying dishes or tableware. Although they were busy, they were in good order. Not far away from the pool, there was an open-air tea house, surrounded by several exquisite stone benches with soft cushions on them. "Devours, our store's several signature spiritual dishes are famous far and wide, but the process is complicated, so you have to wait a moment. Devours, have a cup of tea first," Fu Hongyu said as he led Su Fan and Li Chongxiu to the tea house. Seeing this, several female cultivators immediately brewed a pot of spiritual tea skillfully. The fragrance of tea was everywhere, rising in the air, and instantly enveloped the courtyard in a tea fragrance. They poured a cup for Su Fan and Li Chongxiu, and brought a plate of exquisite tea snacks. Each piece of tea snack was beautifully shaped, like a piece of art. Li Chongxiu sat there, looking at everything in front of her, and felt like a dream. From the moment she entered this hotel, she was stunned by the luxurious and grand decoration here. She was born in a family, but she was a concubine. After her mother died, her status in the family plummeted and became extremely embarrassing. It was her own home, but she lived like a guest, cautious, for fear of making mistakes. Later, she entered the sect, but did not get any help from her family, and her life was tight. In order to obtain cultivation resources, she had to run around desperately to take tasks, going through wind and rain, and tasted the hardships of life. At that time, what she worried most every day was that her family would force her to marry an old man as a concubine. Later, she also accepted her fate, thinking that she would not be able to escape this tragic fate sooner or later. This is also the reason why she did not hesitate to stay with Sister Zhen to accompany her. In fact, she did not want to go back to the sect and be sold to those old men as a bargaining chip by the family. Facts have proved that her choice is extremely correct. Since staying in Su Fan's portable secret realm, Sister Zhen has treated her like a sister. Although Su Fan did not give her any special rewards, his strength was against the sky, and the spoils he captured were piled up like a mountain every time. Su Fan did not care about these trivial matters at all, and Sister Zhen, a ghost slave, was in charge of the spoils. When sorting out the spoils on weekdays, Sister Zhen would put the things she liked into her ring, and would force Li Chongxiu to buy things that were suitable for her without hesitation. According to Li Chongxiu's understanding of this master, he would not care even if he knew these things. It has not been long since she followed Su Fan, and now she has saved a lot of the cultivation materials she needs, and they are all extremely rare and top grade. Unlike Li Chongxiu, who is well behaved and full of trepidation, Su Fan is much more casual. He was slumped in the chair, sitting in an unruly manner, drinking tea like a cow, not caring about other people's eyes. Even so, Fu Honggai did not dare to despise him at all, and kept chatting with Su Fan with a humble face. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1166. Is this guy still human? Devours. Today's dishes are all signature dishes of our restaurant. What else do you like to eat? I will arrange it for you right away. After listening to Fu Honggai's words, Su Fan glanced at Li Chongxiu, who was sitting opposite him and was so nervous that he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Zir, what do you like to eat? Li Chongxiu was stunned when he heard it. In panic, he could only smile and shake his head. I can eat anything. Su Fan nodded and said to Fu Honggai, then let's do it this way for now, and we'll talk about it after we finish this meal. After that, he picked up a piece of tea on the table and stuffed it into his mouth. The exquisite tea melted instantly as soon as it entered his mouth, and the rich aroma instantly spread in his mouth, conquering his taste buds. Su Fan's eyes lit up, and he ate another piece, then pushed the plate of tea in front of Li Chongxiu. Zir, you haven't eaten all day, eat a few small snacks first, it's delicious. After a while, the dishes on the Lingaiyu stone table in the yard were all served. It has to be said that the spiritual chefs of Song Taoju are indeed extraordinary in skills. More than a dozen signature dishes are cooked with good color, fragrance and taste. Each dish is beautifully presented and the color combination is harmonious, which makes people's appetite increase. Moreover, the ingredients of this table of dishes are all rare spiritual objects. Just by looking at them, you can feel the rich spiritual energy contained in them. Su Fan didn't think it was anything special, but Li Chongxiu was different. She looked at the rich spiritual food in front of her, her eyes full of shock and joy. She knew in her heart that the spiritual energy contained in this meal was enough to match her months of hard work. The full table of spiritual food was eaten up by Su Fan and Li Chongxiu. Su Fan ate heartily, and although Li Chongxiu was still a little restrained, he gradually let go under the temptation of delicious food. The two of them had a great meal. After finishing the meal, the two got up and prepared to leave. Just as they were about to leave the restaurant, Fu Honggai ran out in a hurry with a ring in his hand. I see that you like our snacks, so I packed some for you. After Fu Honggai finished speaking, he respectfully presented the ring to Su Fan with both hands. Su Fan swept the ring with his spiritual sense and was immediately shocked by the things inside. He saw several exquisite shelves in the ring, which were filled with various snacks, with a wide variety and an astonishing number. He didn't say anything polite to Fu Honggai, thinking that he was a gold medal customer of Ruai Pavilion after all, and it was natural to receive this gift. Old Fu, you are too polite. Although he said so, he still waved at Li Chongxiu and said, Zir, keep it. Li Chongxiu saw this and hurriedly stepped forward and took the ring from Old Fu's hand steadily. However, the moment she took the ring, Fu Honggai quietly stuffed another ring into her hand without leaving a trace. This move made Li Chongxiu stunned in place, full of confusion and surprise. Just as she was about to raise her hand to refuse, a familiar thought suddenly rang in her mind. Are you stupid? Just accept it if it's given to you. Realizing that it was Su Fan's telepathy, Li Chongxiu finally came to her senses, hesitated for a moment, and finally reached out to take the ring. She hurriedly probed her consciousness into it, and when she explored it, she was instantly shocked by the piles of precious items in the ring. Looking at Li Chongxiu, who seemed a little out of control, Su Fan smiled secretly. This girl has never seen the world. Su Fan turned around and waved to Fu Hongyu, smiling and said, "Old Fu, thank you for your hospitality. Not only did this meal not cost them money, but old Fu also gave them a lot of exquisite refreshments. It was reasonable to thank them." After saying goodbye, Su Fan and Li Chongxiu drove the ghost crow and rushed all the way back to the mountain gate. They found a hidden place to land. Su Fan asked Li Chongxiu to return to the secret realm first, and he walked towards the mountain gate alone. When they arrived at the mountain gate, several disciples on duty glanced at the identity J talisman he handed over. After confirming that it was correct, they respectfully stepped aside and signaled him to enter. After Su Fan stepped into the mountain gate, the disciples on duty looked at his receding back and couldn't help but whispered, "I have been a disciple for more than 100 years. Why does this uncle look so unfamiliar? I have no impression of him. This is the first time I have seen him. I am really curious about when this uncle entered the sect. I also have no idea. Could it be that this uncle has been practicing hard and secluded for many years, so he rarely shows up?" In the current situation, many uncles and ancestors in the sect have rushed to the front line and joined the fierce battle. Most of those who stayed in the sect are elderly and unable to do their best. Su Fan successfully returned to his cave. As soon as he entered the cave, he quickly opened the defense formation. Afterwards, he deliberately hung a striking sign outside the cave, with the 4 characters "Seclusion for Healing" written on it. After all, the video of the Black Mountain base defense war has been released to the public. He shined in this battle, and his name is bound to attract everyone's attention. Su Fan had already secretly planned that he would not come out for the next 10 or even 20 years. He just wanted to hide quietly in the cave of the sect and practice with concentration. As the video of the Black Mountain defense war spread like wildfire in every corner, his name quickly became popular and the popularity soared. At present, whether it is Barbarian Bone Heaven and Meta Demon Realm, or all other medium-sized worlds, they are all deeply shocked by the video of the Black Mountain base defense war. At first, many people had doubts about Su Fan's top spot on the Demon Slayer list. After all, who can easily believe that a cultivator in the God Transformation realm can achieve such a dazzling and almost incredible record on the battlefield? And most of those who raised doubts came from the group of sword cultivators who came from various planes for emergency support. Looking back at the previous catastrophes, the top spot on the Demon Slayer list was almost always firmly occupied by sword cultivators. Even in the top 100 of the list, sword cultivators occupied the vast majority of seats. Occasionally, other cultivators made it into the top 100, and others just thought it was good luck. Therefore, once the Demon Slayer list of this catastrophe was released, the sword cultivators on the battlefields of the Netherworld were immediately outraged and expressed that they could not accept it. Sword cultivators have always been arrogant, but no one can deny their strong strength in battle. In terms of lethality and killing effect on the battlefield, sword cultivators are indeed second to none and no one can match them. But when the true demon god sect made the video of the Black Mountain base defense war public, those sword cultivators who were originally shouting doubts instantly shut their mouths and were speechless. When these arrogant sword cultivators witnessed a video of the Black Mountain base defense war with their own eyes, a thought suddenly came to their minds. This man named Su Fan, is this guy still a human? To be honest, even a sword cultivator at the Void Refining Realm would not dare to pat his chest and guarantee that he could defeat Su Fan with just the flying sword in his hand, when faced with Su Fan's performance in the video. What made these sword cultivators most angry and jealous was that the lightning flying sword Bentley sword in Su Fan's hand was so powerful that it could move freely on the battlefield. For other cultivators, watching the Bentley sword slaughtering people wantonly on the battlefield was just a hearty and exciting experience. But in the eyes of these professional sword cultivators, Su Fan's Bentley sword was simply a rare treasure that made people salivate and envy. Chapter 1167 If you have the guts, kick me out of Ruai Pavilion again. In the early morning, the mist between the mountains was like a layer of gauze, floating slowly, and had not yet completely dissipated. On the branches and leaves of the grass, the dewdrops were like tiny pearls, reflecting the glittering light under the caress of the early morning sun. From a distance, it was crystal clear and dreamlike. Su Fan lazily slumped on the lounge chair by the lake, staring blankly at the lake. The mist was like a lively fairy, dancing lightly on the lake, dreamlike, making him a little absent-minded. "Senior, breakfast is ready," the gentle voice was like a yellow warbler out of the valley. Li Chongxiu came out of the secret realm with her, moved lightly, approached the lounge chair, slowly squatted down, and her delicate body inadvertently leaned against Su Fan. Since the last time they visited the true demon fairy city together, this girl seemed to have completely figured out something, and her temperament became bolder, especially in recent days. Su Fan felt his blood surge in his body, and he secretly complained. In his current state, he could not withstand such a teasing. Xiao Su was instantly full of vitality. He pretended to be calm, stood up from the recliner calmly, and his figure flashed into the secret realm. If he didn't stay away from this girl, he would make a fool of himself in front of her today. Entering the small courtyard in front of the secret thatched cottage, Su Fan sat down steadily at the dining table and began to enjoy breakfast. The breakfast in front of him was carefully prepared by Li Chongxiu. Not only was the food delicious, but he also thoughtfully placed several exquisite snacks from Song Taoju on the table. The exquisite pastries were still lingering with a trace of spiritual energy, and it was obvious that they were made by a famous master. Su Fan couldn't help but feel a little warm in his heart. He had to admit that compared with the careless sister Zhen, this girl was really much more careful. Su Fan was eating with relish, and suddenly a thought came to his mind. "I have arranged for someone to deliver the things you want to you. He will be able to return to the mountain gate today." After receiving Xiao Ning's thoughts, Su Fan's heart was instantly filled with ecstasy. "Uncle Master, thank you so much. I have nothing to repay you. Stop talking nonsense. Don't play tricks on me." Xiao Ning's thoughts came again, with her usual straightforward and sassy tone, and then there was no sound. Su Fan smiled bitterly, then shook his head, picked up the bowl of porridge and continued to eat. He actually admired Xiao Ning's temperament. She was righteous and had good character. It was a pity that the two of them had a shallow fate. After all, they were not on the same path, so it was better to meet less. Thinking of this, Su Fan subconsciously took a jade talisman from his waist. Looking at the jade talisman, his smile was full of helplessness. This unfortunate thing was like an invisible shackle. He really couldn't cut off contact with Xiao Ning in a short time. Su Fan regretted it very much. When they parted at the Black Mountain base, he should have forcefully stuffed the jade talisman back into Xiao Ning's hands. He sighed, and then put the jade talisman away again. Let's take it one step at a time. Anyway, he has made up his mind that he will not come out of retreat in the next 10 or 20 years. Just at this moment, another jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on his waist vibrated slightly. Su Fan frowned slightly, and his spiritual sense probed into it, and saw Qin Yu's message in his eyes. "Devours, have you returned to the mountain gate of the true demon sect?" Su Fan knew it in his heart, and he knew without guessing that it must be because of his previous visit to Song Taoju that made the old guys of Ruai Pavilion restless. "Well, why are you asking this? Didn't you go to Song Taoju that day?" "The high-level leaders of the organization found me, and now several high-level leaders of the organization have arrived in the true demon fairy city." Su Fan's mouth curled up a sneer. "These old guys really can't wait to see me." To be fair, several big guys in the fusion realm can travel thousands of miles to the true demon fairy city just to see him. This treatment is not low. If it were someone else, they would have been flattered. But Su Fan couldn't let it go. The scene when Ruai Pavilion ruthlessly kicked him out of the organization was still vivid in his mind, like a thorn in his heart. "Tell them that I hurt my Cultivation Foundation in the Black Mountain Defense War, and now I am in seclusion to heal my injuries. I can't come out on the next 10 years. Su Fan thought for a while and sent such a message. Qin Yu was dumbfounded when he received Su Fan's reply. "A few days ago, you took your girlfriend to eat at Song Taoju, but now you say you are in seclusion. This is too much." Several big men in the fusion realm of Ruai Pavilion near the true demon fairy city came here specially, hoping to meet Su Fan. This kind of standard is extremely rare in Ruai Pavilion. Is it really okay for you to refuse so bluntly? "Devours, I suggest you meet him. Several high-ranking officials of the organization are going with sufficient sincerity, and you will definitely get some benefits." Su Fan looked at the message sent by Qin Yu, and a sneer appeared on his face again. "If you don't meet me, You can kick me out of Ruai Pavilion again." Kinyu couldn't help but cover his face when he saw this message. "You are too petty. You are still brooding over the little thing." Now Su Fan is famous in the whole cultivation world, and he is the top of the Demon Slayer list in the Battle of the Netherworld and Fierce Land of Mangutian. Ruai Pavilion is almost worshipping you every day. It's too late to curry favor with him, so how dare you kick him out of the organization again? But Su Fan's attitude was so firm that Kinyu knew it was useless to persuade him. "Okay, I will tell your words to several high-ranking officials of the organization truthfully." Su Fan looked at the message sent by Kinyu, and threw the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion into the ring. In this way, he would not be disturbed by Kinyu's message anymore, so he would just ignore it. At noon the next day, the sun shone warmly on the river, sparkling. Su Fan was sitting leisurely by the river fishing, and suddenly received Xiao Ning's thoughts again in his mind. "The person I arranged has returned to the mountain gate. Where is your cave? I asked him to send the things to you." Su Fan was instantly excited, with a flash of surprise in his eyes, and hurriedly used his thoughts to transmit the location of his cave to Xiao Ning. Not long after, there was a slight touch from the formation outside the cave. Su Fan quickly opened the cave's defense formation. He still knew the person outside, Xiao Feng, who sent him back to the mountain gate last time. When Xiao Feng saw Su Fan this time, his attitude was completely different from the last time. His face was full of humble smiles, his waist was bent like a shrimp, and his posture was extremely low. What a joke! The gentleman in front of him was Su Fan. Now this gentleman is famous in the entire cultivation world, how dare he neglect him in the slightest? Chapter 1168. I know you are anxious, but please don't be anxious. Brother, this is something that my third sister asked me to bring to you. Xiao Feng held a delicately carved box with an ancient luster in both hands, leaning forward slightly, with a respectful look on his face, and handed it to Su Fan solemnly. Su Fan reached out to take the box, opened it, and saw 3 stored rings lying quietly inside. His mind moved, and his spiritual sense instantly probed into it. In one of the storage rings, 3 corpses emitting a gloomy aura were quietly suspended. They were the corpses of the 9th level demon in the netherworld that he had dreamed of. In an instant, a subtle surprise flashed in Su Fan's eyes. "Thank you for your hard work. Thank you to Uncle Xiao Ning for me, brother, you are too polite. It is my honor to be able to do things for you." Xiao Feng waved his hand quickly after hearing this, with a humble smile on his face, but he sighed in his heart. When he first met Su Fan, he thought that he was just an ordinary fellow disciple who was unknown in the mountain gate. He never thought that this guy was the notorious demon in the world of cultivation. Now it's even more amazing. This guy defended the Black Mountain base by himself and won the top spot on the Demon Slayer list in one fell swoop. Xiao Feng was full of regret at this time. When he sent Su Fan back to the mountain gate, why didn't he think about getting close to him and building a relationship with him? Although Su Fan seemed to be very polite to him, he keenly noticed that there was a sense of alienation from the other party, which made it difficult for him to really get close. "In this case, then I won't send you off, junior brother," Su Fan said, turned around and strode into the cave, leaving Xiao Feng outside the formation, looking at the closed stone door in a daze. Su Fan went straight to the lake behind the cave, sat down with his legs crossed, couldn't wait to open the box, and reached out to pick up a ring. Boom! With a dull loud noise, the corpses of 3 9th level demons were thrown out of the ring by Su Fan and fell heavily on the open space by the lake. For a moment, the aura of terror spread like a surging tide. Even though it had turned into cold corpse, the powerful pressure was still as heavy as a mountain, pressing Su Fan's chest and making his breathing become rapid. Among the 3 9th level demons in the netherworld, one was the Killbone demon that Su Fan was familiar with. It was not the pseudo 9th level demon that was forcibly downgraded, but a real 9th level demon. Su Fan also recognized the other 2, one was the rusty iron monster and the other was the nightmare ghost. The rusty iron demon was majestic, more than 1,000 feet tall, and at first glance it looked like an irregular behemoth made of a pile of messy metals randomly pieced together and smashed. This demon was proficient in controlling all kinds of metals and integrating them into itself. Its defense was amazing, and the various magical powers it displayed were even more powerful. The nightmare ghost was weird just by hearing its name. This demon could sneak into the opponent's dream silently, create all kinds of terrifying illusions in the dream, and kill people invisibly. Not only that, Its soul is extremely powerful, and it is good at all kinds of soul-related magical powers. It is hard to defend against, and it makes people shudder. Su Fan carefully put the 3 9th level demons back into the ring, and he could not suppress his excitement. Boy, as long as you sacrifice these 3 9th level demons with blood, I can help you break through to the realm of refining emptiness. At this moment, the thought of the woman boss sounded in Su Fan's mind, and his voice was low and a little bewitching. Senior, I want to break through in a while. Now that he is hiding in the mountain gate of the true demon god sect, his life is no longer in danger, and the matter of breaking through the realm is not so urgent. He wants to lie down for 2 years to stabilize his Tau heart. After all, his cultivation progress has been too fast recently. With the help of the woman blood sacrifice method, he has saved hundreds of years of hard work in a short time. It is not unfair to say that he is an evil cultivator. Nowadays, Su Fan spends the rest of his time leisurely, except for practicing the Hununhuaki Sutra on time and reciting the Vajradutta Rilun Sutra dozens of times. Anyway, looking at the entire Mangutyan, there is no safer place than the mountain gate of the true demon god sect. Su Fan plans to stay here for a few years, and when his Tau heart is stable enough, he will think about breaking through the realm of refining emptiness. Well, it's not wrong for you to stabilize your Tau heart at this moment. But you are different from ordinary people. You are open-minded and not obsessed, so you don't have to worry too much. The idea of the woman boss came again, as if to express his approval of Su Fan's thoughts. Su Fan's mouth corners rose slightly, thinking that he was indeed carefree. Since practicing the evil method of blood mist, he has been hovering on the edge of demonism, or running all the way on the road to demonism. If it were someone else, he would have sunk long ago, but he has been tossing for so many years, and nothing has happened. Su Fan picked up the second ring from the exquisite wooden box. When the divine sense probed into it, it was found that it was filled with extremely rare and top-grade cultivation materials. These were the generous rewards that Zioning and others received when they were received by many fusion realm masters from Mangutyan and even Yuan Moji. After all, it was the fusion realm masters who made the move. There were more than 29th level immortal talismans in the ring alone, as well as various top-grade elixirs, magic weapons and formations. Each one taken out was a rare treasure in the cultivation world. Although Su Fan was not present every time he met with him, Zioning always remembered him and asked for a copy for him, and carefully placed them in this ring. Su Fan gently put the ring back into the wooden box, and then picked up the last ring. When he opened it, he found that the ring was empty, with only 5 small and exquisite boxes lying quietly in it. With his hands trembling slightly, he took out the 5 boxes from the ring one by one and placed them neatly in front of him. Su Fan took a deep breath, raised his hand and rubbed his palms. The excitement of opening a blind box ran through his body like an electric current, making his heart beat faster unconsciously. He first picked up the first box, his fingers trembling slightly, and slowly opened it. In an instant, a layer of crystal sands in the box that was crystal clear and exuded a mysterious luster came into view. Fuck. Su Fan couldn't help but burst out a swear word. If he was not mistaken, this was most likely the legendary Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sand, which is the top thunder material in the world of cultivation. It is said that it floats in the vast starry sky all year round. Even if the big guys in the fusion realm want to obtain it, it is as difficult as ascending to heaven. At this moment, the thunder sword that had been sleeping in Su Fan's body seemed to be awakened by this Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sand and became agitated instantly. As soon as he thought about it, with a whoosh, a dazzling electric light whizzed out from the top of his head. The thunder sword circled around him for several times, and then plunged into the Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sand. The sword body kept shaking, and Su Fan also felt a strong desire in his mind. You really know the goods. I know you are very anxious, but please don't be anxious. Su Fan smiled and teased the thunder sword deliberately. He didn't laugh until the thunder sword was so anxious that it circled around his head crazily. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. This thing belongs to you. The thunder sword received Su Fan's thoughts, and the sword body trembled violently with excitement, and then plunged into the box, instantly devouring the Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sands in the box. Then whoosh, it disappeared into Su Fan's body. If the thunder sword completely integrates these Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sands into the sword body, the strength of this thing will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Su Fan smiled with a sense of satisfaction, and then picked up the second box and slowly opened it. Chapter 1169, Earthly Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder Breaking Evil Hammer. What the hell? Su Fan's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyes were full of incredible shock. In the box, a 9th-level magic weapon exuding a mysterious and powerful aura lay quietly, and it was a magic weapon specially tailored for physical cultivation. A hammer only an inch long was suspended in the air, and the strong and almost materialized thunder and lightning aura on the hammer body was surging like a surging stormy sea. Fine purple electric light jumped and flashed wildly on the hammer surface, and from time to time, there was a crackling sound of explosion, and a pungent smell of burning filled the air. Su Fan's hands trembled slightly, and the trembling was not due to fear, but the extreme excitement and expectation that could not be suppressed. He slowly stretched out his hands and gently picked up the small hammer. At the moment when his fingers touched the small hammer, a majestic, ancient and somewhat mysterious thought, like a surging tide, instantly flooded into his mind without warning. In an instant, countless complicated and profound information flashed through his consciousness like a revolving lantern, causing his head to swell slightly. This 9th-level magic weapon is called the Earthly Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder-Breaking Evil Hammer, and its entire body is made of extremely rare Earthly Evil Jengjin. This Earthly Evil Jengjin, according to legend, was born from the depths of endless chaos when the world was first created. After countless years of long precipitation, it has endured a baptism of countless disasters between heaven and earth, and contains the terrifying power to suppress the world and destroy all things. The hammer is engraved with 99 and 81 9 heavens thunderbolt unit 10,000 thunder immortal arrays. Each immortal array condenses endless thunder mysteries, and is carefully carved by several top array masters with supreme secret methods after years of hard work under extremely harsh conditions. Not only that, the hammer body is also cleverly mixed with more than 10 kinds of extremely rare and extremely rare refining materials, such as Chaos Thunder Crystal, Tai True Gold, Purple Thunder Black Iron and Red Flame Thunder Copper. Any of these materials is as rare and precious as a phoenix feather in the vast world of cultivation. To be honest, in order to create this Earth Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder Breaking Evil Hammer, so many extremely precious and top-grade materials were consumed, just to refine a magic weapon exclusively for physical cultivation, which really gives people a feeling of luxury that is almost spendthrift. Su Fan secretly speculated that this was probably a magic weapon specially customized by a physical cultivator with extraordinary strength, who spared no effort, spent countless natural materials and treasures to invite top weapon masters, and carefully prepared. However, for Su Fan, this magic weapon was simply destined for him and perfectly matched with him. As long as he breaks through the current realm and his strength reaches a higher level, he will be able to use this 9th-level physical cultivation magic weapon freely and exert its true terrifying power. After all, his original demon-subduing sky-splitting mountain hammer had already become far less powerful than his current pace as his strength increased, and it had now become a useless item that was neither worth eating nor worth throwing away. At this moment, a hot and violent thunder burst out of Su Fan's body like a volcanic eruption, like an ancient beast that suddenly woke up after a long sleep. In the blink of an eye, a deep and rich dark purple thunder aura quickly condensed around him. The aura slowly rotated around Su Fan, and every time it turned a circle, it made a sharp clicking sound. Every sound caused layers of visible ripples in the surrounding space, which continued to tremble and twist. Su Fan's thoughts changed, his mind moved slightly, and he controlled a very thin but terrifying dark purple thunder light, and carefully infiltrated it into the small hammer. Boom! With a deafening roar, the small hammer, which was only an inch in size, seemed to be injected with endless energy. It expanded rapidly at an almost crazy speed. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a giant hammer that was more than 100 feet high, standing proudly between heaven and earth. On the huge hammer, crackling dark purple lightning flashed wildly, like a smart and violent thunder dragon dancing wantonly, making a deafening roar. An extremely manic, destructive thunder and lightning, with a giant hammer as the center, instantly spread wildly in all directions in a fan shape. Wherever it went, the space was shattered and turned into nothingness. Su Fan tried to use his spiritual sense to carefully control this Earth Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder Breaking Evil Hammer, but as soon as he touched it, he felt a little reluctant. His thoughts surged again, and with a thought, the 100-foot-tall giant hammer flashed with light in an instant, as if it had been cast with a magic of shrinking the earth into an inch, and quickly shrank to a length of 1 meter, and was firmly held in Su Fan's hand. Su Fan gently weighed the giant hammer in his hand, feeling the heavy weight and the tremendous power contained in it. If he had this Earthly Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder Breaking Evil Hammer when he was at the Black Mountain base, Those super monsters would have been easily smashed alive and turned into dust under the power of this terrifying magic weapon. Moreover, this earthly evil Jengjin heavenly thunder-breaking evil hammer, due to its unique material and refining method, is specially used to break all kinds of evil things such as ghosts and monsters. If it is used to deal with negative monsters, its power must be increased several times, reaching a terrifying level that makes people shudder. Not only that, the power of thunder magic weapons is not limited to dealing with the yin ghosts. In the entire world of cultivation, any Taoist monk, once attacked by thunder magic weapons, will never dare to slack off or despise it. After all, the power of thunder is one of the most violent forces in the world, and the destructive power it contains is enough to make any living being in or. As Su Fan's strength continues to rise, now in his hands, except for the demon-breaking sword, it is difficult to find a truly suitable magic weapon. The appearance of this Earth Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder-breaking evil hammer comes at the right time. With Su Fan's current growth rate, in a few years, when his strength breaks through again, this magic weapon will be able to play a huge role in his hands. However, this 9th level thunder magic weapon is too powerful after all. With his current strength, it is still somewhat beyond his ability to control it at will. Only when he successfully breaks through the realm of refining emptiness and his strength has achieved a qualitative leap, can he completely control this magic weapon and exert its full power. Su Fan took a deep breath, forcibly suppressed the excitement in his heart, and carefully put away the Earth Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder-breaking evil hammer. Then, his eyes slowly turned to the side, and he reached out and picked up the 3rd box. When he opened the box, what came into view was a jade talisman that seemed ordinary and nothing special. Su Fan frowned slightly, and a trace of doubt surged in his heart. He slowly picked up the jade talisman. The moment his fingers touched the jade talisman, a dense and complex information, like a flood that broke through the dam, instantly poured into his mind. Oh my god. Chapter 1170, I will have my own private jet in the future. Su Fan couldn't help but swear again, and the expression on his face changed from initial doubt to extreme shock and ecstasy in an instant. This seemingly ordinary jade talisman actually recorded a kind of secret Taoist inheritance of the true demon god sect. The secret Taoist inheritance is the most core secret of a super demon sect. In the true demon god sect, only those who are extremely talented and powerful, and have become the best among the sect's elite disciples, have a glimmer of hope to obtain such an inheritance. Not to mention the true demon god sect, which is a super demon sect standing in the middle world. Even the sects in the small world Jiaosu realm where Su Fan once stayed, regard the secret Taoist inheritance in the sect as extremely important. Moreover, the process of inheritance is extremely cautious, and often has to go through layers of rigorous tests and screening. Since opening and looking at the contents of the 3rd ring, Su Fan has been full of doubts. Every item in this ring seems to have been carefully selected and tailored for him. Now, with the influx of information in this jade talisman, this mystery has finally been solved. It is easy to guess that this 3rd ring must have been carefully prepared for him by the top bosses of the true demon sect. Moreover, they probably watched the video of the Black Mountain Base Defense War and decided to give him such a generous reward. It has to be said that the rewards given to him by the true demon sect this time are simply staggering. Although the 2 treasures Galaxy Thunder Crystal Sand and Earth Evil Jengjin Heavenly Thunder Breaking Evil Hammer are extremely precious, if Su Fan is lucky enough, he is not completely hopeless to get them after going through thousands of hardships. But the Taoist tradition inherited from the secret hall of the true demon sect has a completely different meaning. This is the foundation for a sect to stand in the world and pass on for generations. Even if Su Fan did his best to destroy an ordinary sect, he might not be lucky enough to get the secret Taoist tradition of the sect. It can be seen that the true demon sect really gave it his all to win him over. They even took out a most core secret tradition and passed it on to Su Fan. Moreover, the fact that the true demon god sect could so generously pass on the secret tradition to Su Fan meant that they had already regarded Su Fan as one of their own. To be honest, at least at this moment, Su Fan truly felt a sense of belonging to the true demon god sect. This sense of belonging did not come from material rewards, but from a feeling of being recognized and accepted from deep in his heart. Su Fan took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. He concentrated his mind and carefully swept his consciousness over the jade talisman. Suddenly, a more dense and vast amount of information instantly flooded into his mind. This kind of secret tradition has always been passed down orally by generations of respected disciples in the sect, and no written records have ever been preserved in the world. Even the Jade Talisman in Su Fan's hand is a one-time special item. What's more special is that this Jade Talisman can only reveal the hidden information when Su Fan's blood resonates with it. Not only that, this Jade Talisman also has an extremely strict restriction. If one day, Su Fan dares to pass on this secret Taoism to others without authorization, this restriction will be triggered and activated instantly. At that time, he will suffer a terrible end of his soul and soul being destroyed, and there will not even be a chance of reincarnation. This secret hall inheritance of the true demon god sect is called 9 Nether Yellow Springs Taiyuan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra, which is a complete set of Taoism inheritance of the soul. It not only includes the fundamental cultivation method of the soul, but also covers the detailed path of the future extension and expansion of the practice, as well as various exquisite and powerful soul secrets and magical powers. Since Su Fan traveled to this world of cultivation, this is the most complete, systematic and precious set of Taoism inheritance he has obtained. Su Fan cherished the Jade Talisman of 9 Netherworld Yellow Springs Taiyuan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra as if it were the rarest treasure in the world. He put it in his arms and then fixed his eyes on the 4th ring. He reached out and picked up the ring. In an instant, a wisp of spiritual consciousness, like a flexible silk thread, lightly penetrated into the ring. Although he was not as shocked as the previous times, he was also very excited. He saw a miniature flying boat about an inch long quietly floating in the ring. He raised his hand and took the flying boat out of the ring steadily. The moment he took it in his hand, he noticed that there was a layer of spiritual charm flowing on the surface of the flying boat, as if telling its extraordinariness. Su Fan placed the flying boat in his palm with interest, turning it over and over to play with it carefully, his fingertips gently stroking every outline of the flying boat, feeling the mysterious texture engraved on it. Then he raised his wrist and threw the flying boat into the air. The originally small flying boat seemed to be injected with a powerful vitality the moment it came into contact with the outside airflow, and it expanded rapidly against the wind. However, in the blink of an eye, the flying boat of a few inches in size was transformed into a luxurious giant boat several dozen feet long, hovering steadily in the air. Su Fan couldn't suppress his excitement, and boarded the flying boat lightly. Stepping into the flying boat, Su Fan felt his eyes brighten, and was completely shocked by the luxurious scene in front of him. Every piece of floor under his feet was made of extremely rare spiritual wood. These spiritual woods had a warm texture and soft color, and the surface also exuded a faint fragrance, which penetrated into Su Fan's nose. The entire flying boat had only one cabin, but the layout was exquisite, and every decoration and every furnishing showed nobility and luxury. This level of flying boat, looking at the world of cultivation, can only be compared with the private cars of those higher-ranking and extraordinary combined masters. If this flying boat was placed in the previous life, it would definitely be a top-level private jet like the Gulfstream G550, symbolizing supreme identity and status. The extraordinariness of this flying boat is far more than that. It is a star-filled flying boat that can cross the gate of the starry sky. To build such a flying boat, the materials required are beyond imagination. The various formations engraved on the boat are even more exquisite. Each formation contains unfathomable secrets of cultivation. Any one of them is a priceless rare treasure. With this private flying boat, Su Fan can freely shuttle between various planes, and even cross the vast star field to other medium-sized worlds. Of course, if you want to cross the star field to other worlds, in addition to those smuggling routes, you have to go through a tedious and lengthy registration and review process. Su Fan was full of joy. In the future, whether he goes to other planes or rushes to the Guchen realm to reunite with his family, he can take this private flying boat that belongs to him. My buddy will also have a private plane in the future. Su Fan reluctantly put the flying boat away, and then his eyes fell on the last stored ring. Chapter 1171 9th Level Blood Zombie. Su Fan's consciousness swept over the ring, and he saw a small coffin as black as ink quietly suspended in the ring. His eyes condensed, and he raised his hand and took the small black coffin in the ring steadily. At the moment when the small coffin touched his palm, a biting coldness that seemed to come from the 9 nether hell, like a surging undercurrent, spread madly from his palm to his whole body. Even though Su Fan's physical strength had already reached an amazing level, he couldn't help but shiver violently at this moment, and his hands almost couldn't hold the mysterious small coffin. He was startled, and hurriedly circulated his spiritual power, pinched his sword fingers, muttered something, and gently pointed forward. The small black coffin slowly left his palm and floated in the air in front of him. Su Fan's mind moved, and the small black coffin slowly opened a gap. A thick and almost tangible bloody smell came to his face, as if a gust of bloody wind wrapped in endless killing and weirdness instantly spread around Su Fan. Then, a more chilling breath surged out, and the temperature around dropped suddenly as if it had encountered an extremely cold storm that had not been seen in 10,000 years. Su Fan felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, shivering all over, and his teeth began to chatter uncontrollably. However, in this biting cold and strong blood, Su Fan's eyes flashed with a glimmer of surprise and excitement. This is a 9th-level blood zombie. Zombies are roughly divided into dozens of categories, such as walking corpses, living corpses, white zombies, black zombies, hairy zombies, iron zombies, flying zombies, blood zombies, and poisonous zombies. Except for ordinary walking corpses and living corpses that do not need to be sacrificed, other types of zombies actually have no absolute difference in strength. However, the quality of zombies is very different, and the methods of sacrificing zombies are even more different. The key lies in which family's Taoist inheritance is more profound and exquisite. The quality of each zombie, the Taoist inheritance of sacrificing zombies, and the environment in which the zombies are raised, these conditions determine the upper limit of the zombie's potential. Anyway, no matter what kind of zombie, as long as it can reach the 9th level, its quality must be the best of the best, and the Taoist tradition of refining it must come from a famous family. There is also the environment for refining zombies, which is commonly known as the best corpse breeding ground, and its importance is self-evident. But even if all the above conditions are gathered, it may not be possible to successfully refine a 9th-level zombie. Therefore, there are very few monks in the demon sect Zombie Dao who can refine a 9th-level zombie. Only by chance can a real 9th-level zombie be refined. Su Fan couldn't hold back his curiosity and excitement. As soon as he thought of it, he suddenly opened the lid of the black coffin. In this black coffin, a blood-red zombie lay quietly, with a faintly glowing talisman on its forehead. Perhaps it smelled the rich blood on Su Fan's body, and the blood-red zombie instantly began to struggle violently, its body twisted, as if trying to break through the coffin that imprisoned it. Su Fan suddenly felt a bloodthirsty killing intent, like a surging wave, spreading from the small coffin in an instant. The killing intent seemed to be substantial and almost drowned him. If it weren't for the mysterious power emitted by the talisman on its forehead, which restrained its movements, this 9th-level blood zombie would have roared out of the small coffin and started a bloody killing. Su Fan was shocked when he saw this, and he quickly waved his hand and closed the lid of the small coffin again at a very fast speed. Now with his own strength, facing this 9th-level blood zombie, he is indeed a little powerless. If he rashly lets it escape, he may fall into a dangerous situation. He can only wait until he breaks through the realm of refining emptiness before finding an opportunity to control this powerful blood zombie. At the moment when the lid of the small coffin was just closed, Su Fan felt a roar in his mind, and a huge amount of information poured into his consciousness like a tide. These messages are all about the detailed information of this 9th-level blood zombie, as well as a secret technique of controlling corpses of the zombie way of the true demon god sect. According to the information, in order to cultivate this 9th-level blood zombie, a zombie master of the true demon god sect spent nearly 1,000 years of hard work and countless precious resources. Later, this zombie master died in a battle with the netherworld during a catastrophe in the barbarian bone heaven. His small coffin was stored in the sect's treasure house and has been stored for hundreds of years. Su Fan had read a lot of zombie secrets before, and he knew that this kind of blood zombie was the most difficult to refine among all zombies. The sacrifice of blood zombies requires a huge amount of blood and ki as support, and as the blood zombies continue to advance, the quality of the blood and ki required will also rise. Therefore, after the blood zombie breaks through to the 9th level, if it wants to go further, it must devour the blood and ki of the fusion realm monks, or the 9th level demons and monsters, in order to meet its needs for advancement. Su Fan took another look at the small coffin in his hand, which was as black as ink, and slowly let out a long sigh. With this 9th-level blood zombie, it will be of immeasurable help to him. High-level zombies have high defense and rich blood, and are definitely the best meat shields. In the past, he also had some low-level copper-armored zombies, but in fact, those belonged to the category of iron zombies. These low-level copper-armored zombies have served as meat shields for him many times in past battles, and the effect is remarkable, but the only disadvantage is that they are a bit wasteful. Su Fan carefully put away the small coffin as black as ink, and then he sent a thought to Xiaoning. Uncle, is the thing you sent me a reward from our true demon god sect? After a while, Xiaoning's thought reply came. Well, that is the reward sent to you by Uncle Hongxi on behalf of the sect. They are all things that he specially selected for you. How about it? Are you satisfied? Su Fan sighed in his heart. He had to say that everything that this Grandmaster Hongxi helped him choose hit his heart accurately. How could I not be satisfied? Uncle Master, I have been in seclusion to heal my wounds and cannot personally thank Grandmaster Hongxi. Please thank him on my behalf and say that I will devote myself to the sect until my death, no need for later. You have made great contributions to the sect this time, so it is right for you to be rewarded. Su Fan felt so relieved when he heard what Uncle Master Xiaoning said. Uncle Master Xiaoning is always good at talking, which always makes people feel warm. By the way, Uncle Master, how is the battle in the netherworld now? What else can it be? It's always like that, just wasting time. Both sides keep adding people to the front line. One day, the netherworld can't fight anymore, and they will naturally withdraw. Su Fan couldn't help but feel a lot of emotion after receiving this message from Xiaoning. Since experiencing the Battle of Black Mountain, he deeply felt the tragedy and cruelty of this war. By the time this war is over, it is unknown how many people will die in Mangudan, and countless cultivators will be ruthlessly drawn into this huge war meat grinder. Uncle Master, do we still need to go to the front line? There were hundreds of thousands of people in the Black Mountain base, and in the end, there were less than 100 people left. What do you want us to do? Is there no one else in Mangudan except us? After receiving Xiaoning's thought, Su Fan felt relieved. This is good, I can continue to stay comfortably in the mountain gate. Chapter 1172. The only way to deal with this is to increase the stakes. For the next period of time, Su Fan stayed in the cave of the true demon god sect safely and peacefully, and lived a carefree and leisurely life. At the same time, the war between Mangudan and the netherworld in the netherworld has entered a white-hot stage. The battlefield is mainly concentrated in the area of thousands of miles around the two space gaps. The endless ghosts in the netherworld are like a surging tide, launching crazy attacks. Mangudan relied on the pre-built lines of defense to desperately resist the dense monsters. The front line of the battlefield is like a terrifying huge meat grinder, ruthlessly devouring the lives of countless monks every minute and every second. Even the countless fusion realm masters of Mangudan went to the front line of the battlefield at this moment, and fought hard with the many 9th level demons from the netherworld. Fortunately, the space gap of the Black Mountain base was successfully defended, which relieved the pressure of Mangudan a lot. Otherwise, if the three battlefields were under pressure at the same time, it might not be able to withstand it. Moreover, support from various star regions of the meta-demon realm is continuously arriving at Mangudan and continuously being deployed in the two battlefields of the netherworld. Therefore, despite the extremely fierce offensive of the netherworld realm, Mangudan still stubbornly resisted the crazy attacks of countless monsters. Although the battle on the front line is in full swing, Su Fan, Xiaoning and others did not rush to the front line again. In such a large-scale realm war, adding a few of them really can't play a big role. This realm war is still going to be fought, and it is estimated that it will not be finished without 10 or even dozens of years. Su Fan just took advantage of this time to make a good rest. He has been running around all these years, especially after coming to the middle world. He has been constantly avoiding the pursuit of the celestial race, and has never stopped. Anyway, Su Fan will not go out to play unless he breaks through the realm of refining emptiness. After experiencing the fierce battle at the Black Mountain base, he felt that his strength in the realm of transformation was obviously a bit powerless when facing a strong enemy. I just don't know if after he breaks through the realm of refining emptiness, he can use the Blood Shadow Descending God formation with the help of the big boss of the Wuman Upper Realm to improve his strength to the Fusion Realm. At this moment, several Fusion Realm Masters of Ruai Pavilion are waiting for Su Fan's reply in Songtaoju of Zinmoxin City. However, the old guys have been waiting for a long time, but Su Fan didn't give them any response. Being ignored by Su Fan, the several Fusion Realm Masters of Ruai Pavilion are not angry, but more and more worried. They are really afraid that Su Fan will quit Ruai Pavilion. After all, there are many organizations like them in the world of cultivation. With Su Fan's current reputation, I don't know how many organizations hope he will join. Fortunately, Su Fan has no plans to join other organizations for the time being. They know in their hearts that this kid is still upset about being expelled from Ruai Pavilion last time. After a discussion, several fusion masters of Ruai Pavilion agreed that at this critical juncture, they must try to win over Su Fan no matter what. And never let him join other organizations, otherwise Ruai Pavilion will lose face. The only way now is to increase the stakes. So several fusion masters of Ruai Pavilion contacted Qin Yu again, asking him to continue to communicate with Su Fan, and promised many favorable conditions. In short, they have only one purpose, that is, never let Su Fan change jobs. In fact, Su Fan had no idea of changing jobs at all, he just simply didn't want to deal with people from Ruai Pavilion. The reason why he didn't reply was because he threw the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion into the ring, and he didn't know that Qin Yu had been contacting him. Early that morning, several monks quietly stepped into the True Demon Fairy City. They found a luxury hotel in the city to stay. These people were all fusion masters of the celestial race. In order to conceal their identities and their cultivation, they quietly sneaked into the True Demon Fairy City. Su Fan's whereabouts were eventually leaked. After all, there were many people who knew that he had returned to the Mountain Gate. They came to the True Demon Fairy City from afar just to find an opportunity to attack Su Fan. Although Su Fan is now famous and at the peak of his popularity, attacking him at this time will inevitably cause an uproar. But now is also the time when the defense of the True Demon God sect is the weakest. Except for several powerful masters of the fusion realm who are about to die, all other top-level masters have rushed to the battlefield of the Netherworld. At this moment, even the cultivators in the True Demon Fairy City are mostly small characters in the Foundation Formation Dan realm, and not even a cultivator in the Nascent Soul realm can be seen. There is no way. Whenever the Barbarian Bone Heaven catastrophe comes, all the cultivators above the Nascent Soul realm and the entire plane will be forcibly conscripted to serve on the battlefield. Therefore, it is not just the True Demon God sect, but the entire Barbarian Bone Heaven is in this situation. At this moment, several powerful fusion realm masters of the celestial race were gathered in a house in the True Demon Fairy City. At this time, the celestial race leader sitting at the head glanced at several fellows opposite with a deep look. Have you found out the boy's recent whereabouts? Reporting to King Wei, we have sent people to investigate. In recent months, the boy has only left the Mountain Gate once. Hearing the report from his fellows, Wei couldn't help but frown. Do we have spies in the Mountain Gate of the True Demon God sect? As soon as this was said, several celestial race leaders opposite shook their heads. What a joke, that is the super demon sect of Mangutian. How can it be so easy to develop subordinates? Moreover, Mangutian is a plane controlled by the demon sect, and those unruly demon cultivators have never had a good face for their celestial race. Wei sighed secretly. That boy stayed in the Mountain Gate all day, and they could only wait for him to come out before taking action. As for sneaking into the Mountain Gate of the True Demon God sect, Wei he didn't even dare to think about it. What a joke, sneaking into the Mountain Gate of the True Demon God sect to kill Su Fan at this time would not only offend Su Fan and the True Demon God sect, I'm afraid that by then all the demon cultivators in the entire Mangutian would regard the celestial race as their mortal enemy. At this time, Su Fan had no idea that several celestial race masters in the fusion realm had already arrived at the True Demon Fairy City. Fortunately, he had no intention of leaving the Mountain Gate recently, because he was concentrating on studying and figuring out the sect's secret whole Taoist inheritance. The True Demon God sect is indeed a super demon sect with profound heritage, and the 9 Nether Yellow Springs Embryonic Yuan Inner Nourishing Heart Seal Wonderful Scripture is indeed a rare set of soul and spirit Taoist inheritance. These days, Su Fan no longer fishes, and stays in the thatched cottage every day to practice this set of Taoist inheritance. He has practiced a fundamental method of this inheritance for several months, and he has only one feeling, that is, this Taoist inheritance is indeed extraordinary. Although Su Fan's soul strength is very abnormal, but that is all. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1173 Even he almost believed it. Time flies, like a white horse passing by in a crack. Before you know it, a few years have passed quietly. Several fusion-level cultivators of the celestial race waited in the true demon immortal city until their hair turned gray, but they never saw Su Fan step out of the mountain gate. How could they know that at this moment, Su Fan was completely immersed in the 9 Nether Yellow Springs Taiyuan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra, intoxicated and unable to extricate himself? The threshold of the soul spirit cultivation method has always been extremely high, like a towering mountain that towers into the clouds, which has deterred countless cultivators. Without the talent for the soul, there is no chance to enter. The so-called threshold, for people with extraordinary talents, is the door to the supreme wonderland. But for the vast majority of ordinary cultivators with mediocre qualifications, it has become an obstacle that is difficult to cross. In fact, Su Fan can only be regarded as mediocre in terms of soul talent. Don't look at his abnormal and amazing strength of soul, that's all thanks to the heavenly demon saint body art, a wasteful practice. Every time he breaks through the realm, he has to endure the destruction and cleansing that ordinary people can't imagine, and forcibly pile up the strength of soul. It is precisely because of this that Su Fan's soul foundation is extremely solid, which can be regarded as making up for his shortcomings in talent. However, after a few years, he is still lingering in the fundamental stage of 9 Nether Yellow Springs Embryo Yuan Internal Nourishing Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra. As for the future extension and expansion path of this practice, as well as those exquisite and powerful soul secrets and magical powers, Su Fan has not even got a clue to get started. Even so, he is happy to do it. How can those soul practices that can be easily entered in the past be compared with the Taoist inheritance of the Super Demon Sect Secret Hall? If the 9 Nether Yellow Springs Embryo Yuan Internal Nourishing Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra can be easily learned, Su Fan will find it boring. At this moment, Su Fan was sitting cross-legged in the thatched cottage, concentrating on practicing the technique. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. Since practicing this 9 Nether Yellow Springs Embryo Yuan Internal Nourishing Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra, although his soul strength has not increased too much, his consciousness has become more condensed and solid. You know, his consciousness has already been cleansed countless times by the heavenly demon saint body art, and it is already very solid. But this set of soul technique has only been practiced for a few years, and it can completely cleanse his consciousness again. The profoundness of the 9 Nether Yellow Springs Embryo Yuan Internal Nourishing Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra can be seen from this. When he fully understands the sect's secret whole Taoist inheritance, the strength of his soul will surely reach a higher level. When he consolidates the foundation of his soul and breaks through the realm of refining emptiness, the scene is exciting just to think about. How is your injury recovery? At this moment, Xiao Ning's thoughts came to Su Fan's mind. In the past few years, the girl would chat with him every now and then, and the topics were varied, mostly trivial matters. Su Fan didn't mind, and responded casually, and asked about some of the frontline situations. Today, Xiao Ning has become the commander-in-chief of a battlefield. After all, in the defense of the Black Mountain base, she fully proved her strength with her outstanding performance. Not only her, but also those disciples who survived the defense of the Black Mountain base are now in important positions in various battlefields. It can be foreseen that when this realm war comes to an end, the future of Xiao Ning and others will be limitless. Uncle, my injury has stabilized. It will take some time to fully recover. Su Fan didn't think about it, and lied without hesitation, even he almost believed it. Do you need any more elixirs? I can help you ask for them from the sect. It must be said that Xiao Ning really cared for him very much, and almost responded to his requests, and even won a lot of benefits for him in the sect. That's not necessary. The injury has been controlled. You should recover as soon as possible and come to the front line to help me. Don't you feel bored staying at the mountain gate every day? Of course not, I'm so comfortable. No one disturbs me every day, and I can calm down and practice every day. This is the life he dreamed of before. Now I study the secret hall inheritance taught by the sect every day, and I don't feel bored. What? The sect taught you the secret hall inheritance? From Xiao Ning's reply, you can feel her surprise. Su Fan was slightly stunned, and then reacted. It seems that the sect has not announced the secret hall inheritance to him. At present, I am afraid that only the sect's top leaders know about this. Don't you know? It was given to me by Master Hongxi. You are promising, so you will become an elite disciple of the sect in the future. Xiao Ning's heart is also mixed at this moment. He was born in a famous family and has extraordinary talent. It was not until he broke through the refining realm that he became an elite disciple of the sect. Although she felt a little sour in her heart, she did not feel unbalanced. She just secretly sighed that the sect had really taken great pains to win over Su Fan. Okay, when you break through the realm of refining emptiness, your position in the sect will be stable. Seeing Xiao Ning's reply, Su Fan was quite relieved. Since crossing into this world of cultivation, he has joined many sects, including super immortal sects and demon sects. But he had only received the inheritance of the secret hall once before, and it was a Buddhist inheritance that no one in the sect cared about, which really made him happy in vain. But this 9 other Yellow Springs Embryo Yuan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra is completely different. It is the true secret Hual Taoism of the true demon god sect. After several years of in-depth study and speculation, Su Fan knew the extraordinariness of this complete practice. Although Su Fan's main practice is the body Taoism, his secondary practice has always been disorganized. It can be said that he knows a little bit of everything, but he is not proficient in any of them. When fighting with others, what ultimately helps him defeat his opponent is to fight in close combat. If Su Fan can thoroughly understand this 9 Netherworld Yellow Springs Taiyuan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra, his fighting style will be rich and diverse in the future. And his strength will be further improved. In this world of cultivation, the Taoist traditions of various races of cultivators are endless, but the soul cultivators are always the most difficult to deal with. Because the threshold of the soul path may be second only to the formation cultivators. The soul path has extremely high requirements for the cultivator's talent. If you can't do it, you can't do it. It's too difficult to improve the soul. No matter how good the Taoist tradition is, if you don't have the soul talent, it's useless. The cultivator's blood, mana, etc. can be compensated by rich cultivation resources, but the soul is no match. Even if there are more rare elixirs, they can't make up for the basic strength of the soul. Chapter 1174, This is a good thing, it would be a waste not to accept it. Su Fan talked with Xiao Ning for a while, and then Li Chongxiu came in from outside. Senior, breakfast is ready. After hearing what the girl said, Su Fan stood up from the ground, and then moved to the dining table in the yard and sat down. Li Chongxiu served Su Fan a bowl of spiritual rice porridge, and then stood quietly by the side. Su Fan turned his head and looked at her, full of doubts, and said, "What are you doing standing? Sit down and eat together, senior, I'm not hungry." After hearing what the girl said, Su Fan looked up at her again and smiled softly. Recently, Li Chongxiu always looked so aggrieved. He knew in his heart that the girl had misunderstood his meaning, so he was a little discouraged. Su Fan thought for a moment and said, "Zir, sit down, I have something to tell you." Li Chongxiu was slightly stunned, and sat opposite Su Fan with a little confusion. Su Fan weighed his words carefully and said slowly, "You have been in this secret realm for a long time, and you also know that this secret realm is vast. Sister Zhen can't handle it alone. If you are willing, stay and help Sister Zhen in the future." Hearing Su Fan's words, Sister Zhen's eyes instantly turned red and she almost cried. She has been in this secret realm for a long time. Although Su Fan has never revealed anything, she always feels that she is an outsider in her heart. This time Su Fan asked her to stay for the first time, and it was also the first time that she felt relieved. "Master, let me serve you a bowl of porridge." At this moment, the sister even changed her name. Perhaps because she was afraid that Su Fan would see her embarrassed appearance, she hurriedly picked up Su Fan's bowl, ran to the stove and served a bowl of porridge, and couldn't hold back her tears. Since her mother passed away, Li Chongxiu felt that she was adrift and helpless. Now, she finally has a place to settle down. She had no ambitions, nor did she expect to become Su Fan's Taoist partner. As long as she had a place to stay, she would be satisfied. At least following such a master was better than being a concubine to those old men. Li Chongxiu secretly wiped away her tears, returned to the dining table, and placed a bowl of porridge steadily in front of Su Fan. Su Fan smiled and glanced at her, saying, "Sit down and eat together. I don't have so many rules here. In my eyes, Sister Zhen is not a slave, but my family." Li Chongxiu nodded obediently and sat down next to Su Fan. Sister has a gentle personality and doesn't talk much on weekdays. She is not as lively and noisy as Sister Zhen, so the atmosphere is particularly quiet when the two of them eat together. Su Fan finished his meal and just put down his bowl. Li Chongxiu cleaned it up neatly. Seeing that the master came to the pond and sat cross-legged, the sister put down her work and trotted over to make him a pot of spiritual tea. Su Fan's words today set the tone, and Li Chongxiu felt at ease. With peace of mind, everything he did seemed to be natural. Seeing the sister's attentiveness, Su Fan didn't say much and let her be busy. Su Fan picked up the teacup and took a sip. Suddenly, he seemed to remember something. He put down the teacup and took out the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from the ring. As soon as he took out the jade talisman, he saw that there were hundreds of messages accumulated on it. Su Fan frowned and glanced at it roughly. He was too lazy to look at it carefully and directly sent a thought to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, I have been in seclusion to heal my injuries recently. I put the jade talisman in the ring and just came out today. Devours, you finally replied. I thought you had an accident. How can you talk like that? You just had an accident. What's wrong? Is there anything important? Devours, there are indeed some things. Several senior executives of the organization specially prepared some gifts for you and told me to make sure you accept them, and this good thing, it would be a waste not to accept it. But listening to this, why do I feel like I am afraid that I will not accept a gift? How is it possible? Just throw all kinds of sugar-coated bullets at me, just kill me. Although Su Fan was very happy to see someone giving him a gift, he couldn't show too much eagerness. Well, is there anything else? The organization got intelligence not long ago that several old monsters in the fusion realm of the celestial race had sneaked into the true demon fairy city a few years ago. This is so. These old guys in the celestial race are really thieves. Fortunately, in recent years, I have been obsessed with the 9 Nether Yellow Springs Taiwan Internal Cultivation Heart Seal Wonderful Sutra and have been studying and pondering this Taoist inheritance in the cave. Several old monsters in the fusion realm sneaked into the true demon fairy city, and their target must be me. If I went to the true demon fairy city, I might really fall into their trap. The more Su Fan thought about it, the more scared he felt. Are there any other news? Devours, the organization's top leaders heard that your family is in the Guchen realm. To ensure their safety, the organization has sent people to place them in an extremely safe place. This is almost right. Ruai Pavilion finally did something humane. As long as his family is safe, Su Fan will have nothing to worry about. Qin Yu, thank the top leaders of the organization for me. Qin Yu breathed a sigh of relief after receiving Su Fan's message. With Su Fan's great reputation in the world of cultivation, he was really worried that this guy was poached. After all, Su Fan had not paid attention to him for several years, and Qin Yu thought that this guy had changed his mind. Because of this, he was so worried that his hair turned white in the past few years. Devours, several top leaders of the organization have prepared a big gift for you. When will I send it to you? Although Su Fan was full of curiosity and wanted to see what Ruai Pavilion had given him, he really didn't dare to leave the mountain gate at this time. There are several old monsters of the fusion realm of the celestial race lying in ambush in the true demon immortal city. Wait until I tell the sect to drive them away first. Don't worry about that. The organization has spies in the true demon god sect. We will arrange for someone to put the things in a place inside the mountain gate. You can go and get them yourself. This is so fucking. Ruai Pavilion is really powerful. It actually has members of the organization in the true demon god sect. Okay, then, I'll trouble you to arrange this. By the way, the top leaders of the organization have promised to help you send your family to Mangutan. Seeing the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan was immediately excited. But on second thought, forget it. Now Mangutan is engaged in a tragic realm war with the netherworld. Although the current battle situation is stalemate, Mangutan is not at a disadvantage. But the realm war is not trivial. The strength of the netherworld is far greater than that of Mangutan. Moreover, the battlefield situation changes rapidly. What if Mangutan can't withstand the attack of the netherworld? At that time, I can't run away with my wife and children. There is no rush for this matter. The situation in Barbarian Bone Sky is unstable now. Let's talk about it after this realm war is over. Chapter 1175 Uncle Master, help me. Su Fan talked with Qin Yu for a while, and then put away the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion. He thought for a moment, and then sent a thought to Xiaoning. Uncle Master, help me. After a moment, Xiaoning's thought came back. What's wrong with you? What happened? I accidentally learned that several old monsters of the Xianren clan in the fusion realm sneaked into the true demon fairy city a few years ago. What? How dare the Xianren clan do this? They are looking for death. Xiaoning was instantly furious when she heard it. The Shinran clan's behavior was really too disrespectful to the true demon god sect. However, when she thought of the blood feud between Su Fan and the Shinran clan, and Su Fan's reputation in the world of cultivation, she understood it instantly. Now is indeed the last chance for the Shinran clan to attack Su Fan. When the battle between Mangutian and the Netherworld is settled, the Shinran clan may no longer have the courage to do anything to Su Fan. Taking advantage of the fact that the true demon god sect's rear forces were empty, he attempted to kill Su Fan in one fell swoop. Even if the true demon god sect wanted to seek justice afterwards, they had to wait until the war was over. Don't worry, no matter how bold the Celestials are, they dare not break into the mountain gate to harm you. As long as you don't leave the mountain gate, there will be no danger. Thank you, uncle. I'm having trouble sleeping and eating now, and I can't even sleep well every day. Come on, I don't know you yet. Don't worry, I will report this to the sect's top leaders immediately. Then I'm looking forward to uncle saving me from the water and fire. Okay, stop pretending. After that, Xiaoning never sent him any thoughts again. Not long after, there was a dull boom sound, and Su Fan suddenly stood up from the ground and immediately left the portable secret realm. He walked out of the cave and looked up, and found that the sect had already activated the defense formation. Not only that, the defense formation of the true demon fairy city more than 100 miles away was also activated. Then, several masters of the fusion realm guarding the mountain gate rushed out of the mountain gate and floated in the sky above the true demon fairy city. Fellow Daoists, I wonder why you came to my true demon fairy city. At this moment, in a monastery in the true demon fairy city, Wei couldn't help but sigh. Although they had acted very carefully, they were still discovered by the true demon divine sect. Since the defense formation of the true demon fairy city was opened, Wei knew that their whereabouts had been exposed. In desperation, he had to walk out of the monastery, came to the yard, and bowed to several masters of the fusion realm of the true demon divine sect who were floating in the air. I didn't want to disturb you fellow Daoists, I hope you will forgive me. Hearing Wei's words, a master of the fusion realm of the true demon divine sect snorted coldly. HMPH. You have been lurking in my true demon immortal city for so long, and you didn't even say hello. You really don't take my true demon god sect seriously? He waved his hand and said gloomily, please go, I won't see you off. Seeing that the other party had directly ordered him to leave, Wei knew that it was meaningless to stay here, so he waved to several fellows behind him. Let's go. After Wei finished speaking, he bowed to several true demon god sect fusion realm masters floating in the air. I will leave now, and see you again, fellow Taoists. It was not until the figures of Wei and others disappeared in the small courtyard that the several true demon god sect fusion realm masters floating in the air felt relieved. At this moment, even they were still frightened. Several old monsters of the fusion realm of the celestial race had been lurking near the mountain gate for several years, and they had no idea. Although they were extremely angry, they could only watch several celestial race fusion realm monks leave safely. There was no other way. Now, almost all the high-level monks of the sect had come out in full force, fighting bloody battles on the front line of the netherworld. The entire true demon sect was left with only these few old guys to look after the house, and the strength of those people from the celestial race was comparable to theirs, so it was impossible to keep them. Moreover, this was the territory of the true demon sect. Once a war broke out, the true demon fairy city would probably suffer the consequences, with the city destroyed and people killed. It was not until the aura of several old monsters from the celestial race completely dissipated that the defensive formation of the true demon fairy city was slowly closed. However, the defensive formation of the mountain gate of the true demon sect was not closed, and the sect also issued a mountain closure order. Su Fan stayed in the cave for a while, and when he saw the mountain gate open the defensive formation, he was completely relieved. He never expected that the true demon sect would react so quickly. How could Su Fan know that when Xiaoning reported the matter to the sect, several top-level bosses of the true demon sect would be furious? The celestial race simply didn't take Mangutian seriously. At this time, Mangutian was in the midst of a fierce battle with the netherworld, and they dared to do something secretly at this time. These big guys didn't even think about it and made the matter public. This move set off a storm in Mangutian and even the entire Yuanmo world. The big guys of the major sects in the netherworld battlefield of Mangutian directly expelled all the big guys of the fusion realm of the celestial race from Mangutian. and issued a solemn negotiation to the celestial race. If the celestial race dared to step into Mangutian again, it would mean entering a state of war with Mangutian. Not only that, all the sects in various star fields of the Yuanmo world also issued war threats to the celestial race. Almost at the same time, the sects in various star fields of the Yuanmo world also launched an action to expel the celestial race monks. If it weren't for the intense war in Mangutian at this time, I'm afraid that the major demon sects would have surrounded and wiped out the celestial race monks from all over the place. Su Fan returned to the portable secret realm. As soon as he sat cross-legged beside the pond, Xiao Ning's thoughts came to him. I want to know how you knew that the celestial race was lurking in the true demon fairy city, Uncle Master. I also learned about it by chance. Well, if you don't want to tell me, forget it. But don't worry, the hundreds of celestial race fusion realm monsters in Mangutian have been expelled. Su Fan received Xiao Ning's thoughts and shook his head with a bitter smile. Although Mangutian expelled the celestial race in public, they must have planned something in the past few years. At least a few celestial race fusion realm monsters lurking in the true demon fairy city must not have left Mangutian. They must be guarding the area near the true demon sect. As long as he leaves the mountain gate, he will definitely be hunted down by them. Anyway, no matter what, he will never leave the mountain gate before breaking through to the refining void realm. Thank you, Uncle. Please also express my gratitude to all the senior masters of the sect. Although the fusion level cultivators of the celestial race have been expelled, you must not take it lightly. Do not leave the mountain gate in the next few years. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.